Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Arizona.
The Grand Canyon, the National League West lead resides here in Arizona. Diamondbacks fans flocking in for a big weekend at Chase Field as your first place D-backs leading the NL West take on the NL Central contending Cincinnati Reds, already at 44-30 on the year. And this game, a showcase of perhaps two of the best first basemen in the major leagues, not just in the National League. The Reds, Joey Votto, and the Diamondbacks, Paul Goldschmidt. Good evening from Chase Field. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthune, Bob Brenly along the way. And, baby, there's no way getting around this one. Joey Votto, Paul Goldschmidt, maybe the two best first basemen in baseball.
Well, with all due respect to all the other first basemen in baseball, these two guys, if you're talking about the total package, without a doubt, in my mind, the two best in the game. Joey Votto, a past MVP winner. Of course, he's got a career record to stand on, but this guy does everything extremely well. Hits for average, hits for occasional power, especially in his home ballpark. Paul Goldschmidt, on the other hand, is rapidly becoming America's first baseman, if you will. The slight edge I give to Goldie when we get to the report card is the defense. He's a solid defender. He doesn't like to throw the ball to the pitcher. He takes it himself. I would give him a slight edge over Joey Votto in that regard. Goldschmidt, obviously, a lot more power than Joey Votto. Votto hits for the higher average, takes the walks. If you're starting a ball club, you can't go wrong with either one of these guys.
Yeah, the All-Star game, almost a moot point at this point in terms of the voting. Votto is the more established player and therefore has a bigger foundation from which to garner votes. But what about head-to-head? Let's put on the Professor Brenly cap right now and give these guys the Brenly report card.
Well, as I said, hitting for average, Joey Votto, a .316 career hitter coming into this season. He's hitting over .320 this year, so you have to give him an A for hitting for average. For power, I give him a B+. Now, granted, a lot of his home runs come at Great American Ballpark. Very much a bandbox, but this guy can hit home runs anywhere. Speed is a C. Very good base runner, knows when to take the extra 90 feet, knows when to drop anchor, but doesn't have the same kind of foot speed that Paul Goldschmidt does. First baseman's arm doesn't really matter that much. Joey Votto can get the ball to second base to initiate a double play. He can be a middle guy on a relay, no problem. His defense, I give him an A- only because he gets a little reckless at times. He tends to throw off balance to pitchers covering first base rather than break over and cover the bag himself. Now for Paul Goldschmidt, we'll grade him down a little bit on the hitting for average part of it. Lately he's been hitting the ball more to the opposite field. Possibly that grade could go up some. Power, A, off the charts. Big time power as we've seen this year to any part of the ballpark against any style of pitcher. The speed is where he really has an advantage over Joey Votto. Paul Goldschmidt can steal a base if necessary. He can score from first on an extra base hit, easily score from second on a base hit. Once again, the arm at first base, not a huge factor. Goldie is every bit as good as Paul Goldschmidt with the throwing arm. And the defense for me is an A, off the charts A. Paul Goldschmidt plays the best defense in the game at first base right now.
It's going to be fun watching these two go head-to-head. Two MVP candidates in the league. Cody Ross was an MVP in Wednesday afternoon's game with his big pinch hit home run that helped beat the Marlins. When we come back, Jody Jackson talks about Cody getting a clear look at the baseball. More on that coming up. George Brazil. George Brazil guarantees the lowest price on a new AC system. Call George today.
And welcome back Friday evening here in the great state of Arizona as the Arizona Diamondbacks begin a 3-game weekend series with the Cincinnati Reds. Jody Jackson with you on the field, and boy, there was some late inning drama on Wednesday when the Diamondbacks closed it out against the Marlins. Cody Ross with a pinch hit 3-run home run in the 8th inning to break a scoreless tie, and before that he was 0 for 14, so he was able to break that skid, but boy, he wasn't seen very clearly before. But when he was in for that at-bat where he hit the home run earlier that day, he had spent some time at the eye doctor to straighten things out. Take a listen.
I don't want to make too big of a deal of it, but I just had some blurry vision. Went in, they helped me out, and sat a couple games just to make sure that everything was good. And Gibby called my name to pinch hit, and luckily got a good pitch to handle, and there you have it.
How much more comfortable do you feel at the plate now?
As far as vision-wise, great. I've had one at bat, so I guess we'll test it out a little bit more tonight. But as far as being able to see and my contact's not blurring up, it's good.
Well, plenty more at-bats for Cody Ross tonight. For the Diamondbacks, it'll be lefty Wade Miley on the hill. Meanwhile, Johnny Cueto has had success against the D-backs. Can they break his string of successful outings against Arizona? Find out. First pitch coming your way next.
Have given up more hits this season than Wade Miley, so he looks to right the ship here against Cincinnati, and Derek Robinson will lead it off for the Reds.
See the numbers for Wade Miley on the season, coming off a start against the San Diego Padres. Very unusual start. Worked his way first time through the order, only one base runner, a walk. That was erased on a double play, and then in the 4th inning gave up 5 runs on 4 hits. Settled in immediately after that. Just one bad inning once again for a D-back starter.
Diamondback starting pitcher presented by the Arizona Ford dealers, and the big inning has bitten Wade Miley several times. That one is lifted in the air down the first base side and out of play. Wade Miley last 7 starts, 1-5. The ERA right at 6.5. The loss to San Diego Saturday dropped him to 4-6. Just the 6th start this season. The leadoff spot for Derek Robinson, a switch hitter. Miley misses there. It's 2-2. Boy, Dusty's Reds, the offense sputtering lately, Bob, averaging only 2.8 runs per game in their last 9. They've been shut out twice over that span.
Yeah, this is an offense for the Reds that you just never anticipate a shutout. They've got a lot of thunder up and down the lineup. They've got some speed scattered amongst the power hitters. And playing 81 of their games at home at Great American Ballpark. Very, very offense-minded ballpark. It's hard to believe these guys ever get shut out.
It is a little bandbox, but this is the start for the Reds of a long road trip. They play here this weekend, then interleague games at Oakland, then they go to Texas. Here's the 2-2. That's chopped to Martin Prado at third. Robinson can fly up that line, throws in plenty of time, 1 down. Reds lineup looks as such a different look. Shin-Soo Choo not hitting leadoff for only the 3rd time all year.
Yeah, 69 times in the leadoff spot, but against the left-handed starter tonight, Dusty Baker slides him down in the 2-hole. Brandon Phillips was a projected number 2 hitter, but with the injury to Ryan Ledwick, he's in the 4 spot. Joey Votto, that guy, in the 3-hole. Bruce Frazier, Cozart Hannigan, and Johnny Cueto at the bottom.
Shin-Soo Choo. He is dropped in the lineup tonight, as Bob mentioned, because he's facing the left-hander Wade Miley, and Choo is just not hitting left-hand pitching this year. .332 against righties, only .160 versus lefties.
All 10 of his home runs have come against right-handed pitching this season. One thing you have to watch with Choo is getting hit by pitch. 19 times already this year he's been plunked. He's one of those guys that gives the illusion that he's getting out of the way of the pitch when indeed he's sticking a body part in front of it.
Yeah, no player in the major leagues gets hit by pitches more frequently than does Shin-Soo Choo. Here's the 2-1. Choo has been doing what leadoff hitters are supposed to do, and getting hit by pitches is part of that. A .426 on base percentage. That's 2nd in the National League, only to his teammate Joey Votto. And he's also 2nd in the league in walks behind Votto, and he draws a 1-out base on balls there. Defensively, the Diamondbacks look as such. It is left to right, a Kubel, Para, Ross outfield tonight.
Prado, Gregorius, Bloomquist, Goldschmidt across the infield, 3rd to 1st. Miguel Montero once again behind the plate. You get the feeling Miggy may not get an off day for a while. He's just started to swing the bat much better lately.
Cody Ross, of course, hopefully the vision cleared up. His contact lenses had been drying out in this very dry desert air. And in fact, Bob, you mentioned it before Cody's one of his bats recently, blinking a lot, always trying to keep the contact lenses moist, keep his eyes from drying out.
Boy, and when you start thinking about it, obviously Cody's experimenting, trying some different eye drops, some different contacts, but anytime you're thinking about something, suddenly it becomes an issue.
Here's Joey Votto. He's ahead 1-0. Votto's 6th in the league in hitting at .324. He's 3rd in hits with 90, just ahead of the D-backs Gerardo Parra. And Votto leads the league in both walks and on base percentage, just ahead of Shin-Soo Choo, who's over there at first base. And as usual, Votto is ahead 2-0. There's the strike, 2-1. There it is. On base percentage, they are 1 and 2 in both walks and OBP. And Votto is hot lately, 9 hits in his last 5 games. Bob, that's not the start that Wade Miley was hoping for when you've got a guy like Choo who's been dropped in the lineup from his customary leadoff spot, and he's really struggling against left-hand pitching. You give him a free pass first time up.
Yeah, you really want to force him to swing the bat, jump ahead in the count, throw some good quality strikes around the edges. And against this Reds lineup, you just don't want to put anybody on base because, I mean, from the 2 spot down to the 6 spot, every one of those guys is capable of leaving the ballpark.
Yeah. And that leads right into the big inning, which we talked about with Wade earlier. Brandon Phillips, the cleanup man, is on deck. 2-2 to Joey Votto, just underway at Chase Field. Votto lets a base hit to left down in front of Jason Kubel. Chu moves up 90 feet. Reds have 2 on with a 1 out in the first.
Second baseman, number 4, Brandon Phillips.
Votto does so well. He kind of invents swings depending on what pitch is thrown and what count, what he's looking for. Just kind of carves that ball into left field. Really pulled his hands in close to his body to make sure to get the barrel on it. Just muscled it out there into shallow left field for his first hit of the game.
And this is trouble because Brandon Phillips is tied with the Rockies' Carlos Gonzalez for second in the National League in RBIs, behind only Paul Goldschmidt. Chu at second, Votto the runner at first. Brandon Phillips slumping somewhat this month. He was hit on the left forearm on June 1st against the Pirates and had to miss 4 games. And since he's been back from that injury, he's played 14 games and hit only 183. Now, he still managed to drive in runs over that span, but he has not been the same guy since he was hit in the forearm on the first day of this month.
Phillips has historically, and once again this season, been a guy that hits into a lot of double plays. Takes a big swing from that right-handed batter's box, sometimes gets turned around, takes a while to get his momentum going back down that first baseline. He's grounded into 9 double plays this year.
1-1. Phillips making his 67th start in the cleanup spot this year, and he has really produced in that spot. Second in the league in RBIs. He hit over 300 batting cleanup last season for Cincinnati. Interesting. Phillips might have been hitting second in the order this year. That was the plan. But he had to drop back into that cleanup spot when Ryan Ludwig was lost to a very serious shoulder injury very early in the season, and the lineup in some sense really hasn't recovered from that. Cozart's been moved up and down. Chu was hit the leadoff spot. Phillips has had to go back to cleanup. Right to Paul Goldschmidt, and he'll step on the bag. They double off Joey Votto, and Wade Miley gets out of a 2-on, 1-out jam. Bottom 1 all the way from Chase Field. over the last 6 games, and as a result, in part, they are 2-4 over that span. Kirk Gibson's ball club, couple of narrow wins over Miami following a 4-game losing streak that included getting swept at San Diego. Kirk Gibson's lineup tonight is brought to you by Scottsdale Healthcare.
Parra, Bloomquist, Goldschmidt at the top, Montero, Ross, and Kubel in the middle. Prado, Gregorius, and Miley bring up the rear. Got to get it going. Tough customer to get it going against in Johnny Cueto.
Oh, this is going to be difficult. Cueto 4-0. The ERA just a shade over 2. He'll face Gerardo Parra to lead it off. In just under 44 innings this season, Cueto has given up only 25 hits, 37 strikeouts. He's held the opposition to 1 run or less in 5 of his last 7 starts. And the whip is an outstanding .8. And to make matters worse, Bob, this guy has never lost to the Diamondbacks in 6 starts versus Arizona. Cueto is 5-0 with a 1.66 ERA.
He's due. You can see a couple of different fastballs from Johnny Cueto, a tailing 4-seamer in the low to mid 90s. He's really fallen in love with that cut fastball this year in the high 80s. Occasionally will touch 90 with that cutter, has a slider and a really good straight changeup. And you see that unusual delivery, turns his back almost completely to the hitter at the plate, reminiscent of Louis Tiant. That's a functional thing for Johnny Cueto. He was flying open too much in his delivery. They were messing around with Brian Price, the pitching coach, in the bullpen, and came up with this particular delivery out of the windup to help him keep that front side closed a little bit.
Parra drives it to right. Jay Brusso lets it go. Gerardo Parra, his 6th home run. Just like that, it's 1-0 Diamondbacks. That's a Fulton home run. Another $150 goes to Central Arizona Mountain Rescue from our friends at Fulton Homes.
There's a delivery we were talking about. Turns his back completely on the hitter. Didn't seem to bother Gerardo Parra in the least. Got a pitch in the middle of the plate and down a little bit. Just golfs it out of here to right field, putting the D-backs on the board. Good start.
5 leadoff homers this year. He's got 6 all season. That's a table setter. Willie Bloomquist looks at a strike, 0-1.
Quite a change over his last 3 starts. Johnny Cueto had only given up 2 hits in 30 at bats to left-handed hitters. That's an .067 batting average. 1 for 1 so far today.
Gerardo Parra, 4th in the league in hits, and what a start. Willie at .340 on the year, and they're at second base tonight. On the ground to shortstop. That's Zach Cozart back there. 1 away in the Arizona first. This is what the Reds look like defensively, and Bob, I know that you enjoy watching Ryan Hannigan behind the plate.
Yeah, he is really solid. He's made a living out of being a real good catch and throw guy. Handles the pitching staff extremely well, blocks the ball well. He's thrown out 50% of the attempted base stealers this year.
Got the backwards hat on under the hockey mask. That's kind of an old and new school.
A little of both.
Here's Goldie. Paul Goldschmidt at .301. It's been a slow June, relatively speaking, for Goldie, hitting .222 in 18 games this month. Kingman. Oh, Kingman, Arizona. I thought we don't want a Dave Kingman situation.
No, no.
Hit 450-foot homers and then strike out every other time, and that's not what we're looking for. Goldie's homers have all been big ones lately. Had the one on June 7th, the Friday night against the Giants at Chase Field, in the 8th inning against Jeremy Affeldt. That turned a loss into a win. 2 homers in 2 games versus Miami, including the walk-off winner Tuesday night. This was fun. Talking to A.J. Pollock during batting practice, and A.J. was marveling at how much it takes to hit a ball there in this ballpark. AJ was saying, you got to be a big boy to get it out here. With the roof closed, just doesn't carry like it does when it's open.
Still banged it about halfway up the batter's eye in center field. That's the thing you love about Goldie's approach, too. A lot of power hitters need to pull the ball to really use all of their power. Paul Goldschmidt does not need to pull the ball. He can hit with power down the right field line. We've seen him go straight away center field. We've seen him hit balls in the pool area. And when he does get that bat head out front and pull the ball to left field, it is titanic.
And it's especially effective, Bob, as we've talked so much about, when they're working Paul down and away, down and away. When he can go down, get that, drive it out to right, it's going to have to make pitchers come up with something else, some other approach. 2-2. And he's also really good at doing this.
Yep, grinding out at bats, forcing that opposing pitcher to work hard.
He will just wear you out. Interesting, they're kind of pitching him a little more inside, other than maybe Cueto's missing a spot or two. 8th pitch of the at-bat coming up. Lays off that one. There may have been moments, Bob, in late April when he chased that pitch. Miguel Montero awaits on deck. Hard to left. Robinson is over there. And Paul Goldschmidt stops at first with a 1-out single.
Well, when your approach as a hitter is designed to drive the ball to right center, you don't get fooled by changeups. That's actually a pretty good pitch by Johnny Cueto, down and moving down, but because Paul Goldschmidt's approach is to drive the ball to the gap in right center, if you happen to be out in front of an off-speed pitch a little bit, you'll still keep it fair down the left field line like he did right there.
Good start for the Diamondbacks against Johnny Cueto. Gerardo Parra, the leadoff homer, a ground out by Bloomquist, now a 1-out single by Goldie, and here's Miguel Montero. Lifts it in the air to left. Derek Robinson, plenty of room, calls off Shin-Soo Choo. 2 down. Robinson out there due to the litany of injuries the Reds had very early in their season to their outfield. They lost both Chris Heisey and, as we mentioned earlier, Ryan Ludwig. Although Heisey they think might be back next week. Cody Ross, how we looking? Fresh off his huge pinch hit home run Wednesday afternoon. He led to the D-backs series win over Miami. A towering shot, high and deep to left.
Yeah, for Cody, instead of how we looking, it's how you see it.
Exactly. This was Wednesday afternoon, pinch hitting in the 8th.
No vision problems there. Way back to left field.
Hopefully that sparks Cody's game. He had been hitting 190 in 17 games since his previous home run. That was back on May 27th. Cody said he spent several hours at the optometrist try out different contact lenses, different solutions, different eye drops to try and prevent the issue. What's happening is, as we've said, the contact lenses dry out in the dry desert air. And Bob, in fact, you commented during one of his at-bats, I remember, in the Miami series, how he's up there blinking, trying to moisten the contact lenses.
Anybody that's worn contacts understands the discomfort that Cody has when those things dry out. You're trying to focus. You get the kind of a filmy thing over the contacts. You have to blink repeatedly to get rid of it. You just hope he gets to a comfort zone here where he's not thinking about his vision, just using his vision.
Throw over hits Paul Goldschmidt. Got to keep an eye on him. He'll run on you. 6 stolen bases. He's been caught only 1 time. There they are, the NL MVP candidates at this point.
Yeah, we started with the grade card at the beginning of this show, and they're both working hard for a star from the teacher. Votto with a single, his first at bat. Goldie with a single in his first plate appearance.
And there's no grading on a curve in Professor Brenly's class.
I should have prefaced the whole thing. I'm a big Joey Votto fan. You know, being in Chicago the last 8 years, I've had an opportunity to see the Reds 18 or 19 times a year, and he just brings his A game every day. Every day. And Goldie does the same thing. These are two guys that don't take anything for granted, which is probably why they're the two best first basemen in the game.
The view from behind the plate at Chase Field on a Friday night, hanging out with the boys, watching some D-backs baseball. Frazier at third. Phillips has the force on Goldschmidt, and that ends the inning. But the Diamondbacks off to a good start versus Johnny Cueto. Gerardo Parra, his 5th leadoff homer this year, has made it 1-0 Diamondbacks. Arizona Fan Express brought to you by Cox Communications and Fry's Food Stores. Is ticket sign-ups now to come on down to a Diamondback game. So stop by this month's participating Fry's store in Sal Rita or the Cox retail store in Surprise, and you can enter to win 2 seats on the Fan Express bus for some games in July. For more information, visit foxsportsarizona.com. Jay Bruce leads off the Cincinnati second against Wade Miley. Diamondbacks up 1-0 on Gerardo Parra's leadoff home run. Got to be careful here. Jay Bruce is on one of his home run tears. He's homered 5 times in his last 7 games. He's got 7 hits, Bob, in his previous 7 games. 5 of the hits are home runs.
He's a really streaky hitter. He can get into those home run streaks where he can carry the ball club on his shoulders solely. See what he's done. First 36, last 37.
Yeah, he got off to a really slow start. Hit .252 in April with only 1 homer, and his overall numbers are kind of bouncing back from that at this point. Miley strikes him out, 1 down in the second. First strikeout for Wade Miley.
I think Wade Miley's rapid pace out there on the mound got in Bruce's head a little bit that time. He's got a very distinct routine he likes to go through before that pitch is delivered. I think Wade Miley, working so quickly, disrupted that routine.
That'll work. Todd Frazier, the Reds' third baseman, steps in. Well, you're right, Bub. You go down this lineup, every one of these guys can hit it out of here. Frazier's got 9 homers.
I mean, even Paul Cozart, the shortstop, hitting down there in the 7th spot, has 7 home runs on the season.
Todd Frazier swinging a hot bat these days. He opened his month of June by getting exactly 2 hits in each of his first 5 games. And he's hit safely in 8 of his last 9. Martin Prado, custom made. 2 up, 2 down in the second.
There's something to keep an eye on in this series with Todd Frazier. He can take some of the ugliest looking swings you ever saw. He's just big country strong, gets the bat on the ball. It's not always picture perfect, but the results are usually pretty good for him.
Former Little League star from the Jersey Shore, a Toms River guy. Zach Cozart, base hit. Wade Miley had to duck out of the way of that one. Second base hit for Cincinnati. And they have a 2-out base runner.
Right back where it came from. Now, with 2 outs in the inning, it really limits what Dusty can do right here. He likes to play hit and run with Ryan Hanigan down in that 8 spot. He's probably the best handler of the bat in the lineup as far as hitting behind a runner at first base. But with 2 outs, it doesn't figure to happen in this situation. Hanigan just up there to swing away.
Hanigan at 195 on the year. It's been a slow offensive season for him, but better lately. 7 hits in his last 5 games. He missed 18 games in April and May with a strained left oblique. Also had a bad thumb. So what else is new? Season starts, the catcher was already beat up.
He's in midseason form then, yeah. Well, it speaks to how good a catcher Ryan Hanigan is. The fact that he's in the lineup carrying that 195 batting average. He's only slugging .276, doesn't hit for much power. I mentioned he handles the bat well, can play hit and run. But he does such a good job of handling this Reds pitching staff that he's getting the majority of the playing time over youngster Devin Mesoraco, who they projected to be their starting catcher this year. Hanigan was going to be the backup.
Last season, Reds pitchers went 61-37 when Ryan Hanigan started behind the plate. Here's the 2-0. Reno. Former Reds great Joe Morgan, special assistant to the GM, is in the dugout. The Big Red Machine. There's a strike. Come on back, Ryan. 3-1. Since he's come back from the DL, Hanigan has played in 25 games. And in those games, he's hit .247. So don't let the 195 mark fool you. He's been much better lately. Willie Bloomquist on the outfield grass, spins and throws. And Wade Miley strands that 2-out single by Cozart. Bottom 2 on the way. Diamondbacks lead at 1-0. Making their way into Chase Field for some D-backs baseball and a good start. Gerardo Parra's 6th home run of the year, his 5th leadoff homer, has given Wade Miley 1-0 lead. And now here come the Diamondbacks against Johnny Cueto in the second. Jason Kubel, Martin Prado, and Didi Gregorius stepping in. Mentioned Johnny Cueto with that trademark exaggerated twist in his pitching motion. He'll turn his back to the hitter, as Bob pointed out. Get another look at it right here, a la Luis Tiant, El Tiante. There was some thought in Cincinnati that perhaps the turn was contributing to some recurring pain behind Cueto's pitching shoulder, and he admitted he thought about altering that delivery. Kubel, base hit. Jason Kubel's comeback continues. He's had a very good month. Cueto's been on the DL twice already this season, Bob, with a sore muscle behind that pitching shoulder. He was first on the DL from April 15th to May 19th. The Reds said it was a muscle strain. Made 3 starts after coming back, then had to go back on the DL with the same issue.
Well, unlike a lot of pitchers who try to simplify their delivery so they can repeat it time and time again, get their arm in the same slot, get their hand in the same position on the baseball, Cueto went completely the other direction. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to get organized there in order to get your arm in the slot you want it.
Martin Prado.
Hey, you'll notice no back turn when he pitches out of the stretch, a more traditional delivery that you're used to seeing when a pitcher throws out of the stretch. Just that exaggerated turn out of the windup.
Cueto said they talked to the doctors and they explained they don't think the recurring pain behind the shoulder had anything to do with the mechanics, so he's not changing anything, but he has been on the DL twice this year with that pain behind his throwing shoulder. And they thought the second stint on the DL was, considered something of a hangover from the initial injury.
You see the more traditional delivery out of the stretch position. Yeah, the injury that he suffered this year is actually the same one he suffered in the playoffs last year.
Had to come out of that game after, I think it was 8 pitches. Prado, center field. Shin-Soo Choo tracks it down in the gap. And Jason Kubel has to hurry up and get back. And the Reds throw it all over the infield, and Kubel is back safely. Nice job there by Shin-Soo Choo to track that one down in the deepest part of the ballpark.
Well, the Reds got a little spoiled defensively in years past with Drew Stubbs roaming center field. Shin-Soo Choo filling in admirably out there. Doesn't have the same kind of range or speed that Drew Stubbs had, but takes great lines to the ball. Made a nice run and catch that time.
And Choo, of course, has historically been a right fielder. He played almost always in right field when he was with Cleveland, but the Reds decided, based on his on-base percentage, and he was a good defensive right fielder, that he could handle center field until perhaps the speedster Billy Hamilton is ready in their minor league system. Here's Didi Gregorius. Kubel on first with 1 out. It's funny, Bob, the ball that Prado just hit reminded me of the one he hit in San Diego that Chris Denorfia tracked down in the exact same portion of the ballpark. So Martin actually hitting the ball pretty well lately, driving into that gap in left center, but so far he's 0 for 2.
Just a little too much hang time there. Either drive it over their heads or get it to drop in front of them. Unfortunately, he's hit the ball in a vicinity where the center fielders can run him down.
Didi Gregorius fighting through his first difficult offensive stretch as a Diamondback. You can see the difference here. He began this month with a 7-game hitting streak. The last day of that streak was June 7th. Didi was batting .322 for the season at that point. But since that streak ended, he's gone hitless in 7 of 10 games, and his average has dropped 33 points. So he's checking in today at 289. And Bob, you had to see this coming at some point with Didi. There was nowhere to go but down. He started so high as a Diamondback. And interesting to see how he battles through this. Fists one out to shallow left, and it drops in. That'll help. Diamondbacks with first and second and 1 out. That's their 4th hit against Johnny Cueto.
It's always kind of interesting to watch a guy Of course, this is not his major league debut with the Diamondbacks, but his first real taste of everyday play as a major leaguer, and the kind of adjustments teams make against him, and then the counter adjustments that Didi's going to have to make to be an effective hitter again. That fastball in on the hands, that time little jam shot dropped in shallow left field, but that's a pitch he's going to have to figure out how to get to it or lay off of it.
And of course, he's a former Red. He played briefly with Cincinnati last season, coming over in the big trade that involved Trevor Bauer. Here's Wade Miley, and this is just a straight bunt situation, Bob. Oop. Corners are way in there.
Well, normally it would be a straight bunt situation even with one out in the inning, but with those corner infielders as close as the Reds are playing it, talk about it all the time, it's a low percentage move to try to get a bunt down and move those runners successfully. So go ahead and slash away, try to slap it by one of those corner infielders.
Frazier at third, Votto at first, well in on the grass, and here comes Votto charging in from first. Miley pulls back, and that's a ball.
Well, with no responsibilities to hold that runner on first base, Joey Votto is getting a huge head start toward home plate. If Miley does indeed bunt here, you definitely want to push it to the third base side of the field, force Todd Frazier to come in and make the play.
Swinging away, 1-2. And that's an unproductive out. Here comes Gerardo Parra. This is what Parra did to lead off the game for the Diamondbacks. His 5th leadoff homer this season.
Yeah, he does something every night to help the Diamondbacks win a ball game. Didn't have to wait long for it tonight. The leadoff homer on a pitch down and in, golfed it out of here to right field.
Parra 4th in the league in hits, 11th with a .311 batting average coming in, now up to .314. Kubel the runner at second, Gregorius at first. They both single. Diamondbacks with 4 hits against Johnny Cueto. 2 on and 2 outs for Gerardo Parra.
I mentioned that Cueto had been really good against lefties in his last 3 starts. It held him 2 for 30. Tonight, left-handed batters already 3 for 4 with a homer and 2 singles against Cueto. Usually that because his changeup either isn't effective yet or he hasn't used it much yet. That's the pitch he uses to get left-handers out. We'll show that fastball inside and then throw the changeup low and away, get some swings and misses on that pitch.
Way outside there. Back even at 1-1. Johnny Cueto is one of those guys that he's got 5 pitches and throws them all. I mean, the mix is really balanced. 4-seam, 2-seam change, cutter, slider. And the percentages are very consistent, almost evenly distributed among the 5 pitches. Two and one.
Using more changeups this time around to Gerardo Parra. Just can't keep it in the strike zone. Now, I've seen Johnny Cueto in starts where he had a real good feel for that straight changeup, and he went to it almost exclusively. Used his 4-seam fastball just to set up the next changeup. Looks like he's struggling for that feel here in the early going tonight.
2 outs and runners in scoring position. This has been a weak spot for the D-backs all year long. Chance to improve on that here with Jason Kubel at second and Didi on first. Misses there. It's 3-1. Now is Cueto forced to groove one here?
No, not by any stretch of the imagination. This is a changeup count for him normally. He's got the 2 different fastballs, and depending on what Ryan Hannigan has seen so far behind the plate, it's not uncommon for him to throw that straight changeup in hitters' counts.
Misses there. The Diamondbacks have the bases loaded and 2 outs for Willie Bloomquist. First walk tonight issued by Johnny Cueto. So here's Willie, grounded to short his first time up. Jason Kubel, the runner at third. Didi Gregorius at second, and Gerardo Parra at first. Willie 0 for 1. The bat has been quiet lately, hitting .200 over his previous 12 games. Bases full of Diamondbacks.
They're very close to catching the front of that jersey.
First base side, Joey Votto may have a play here, but I'll watch it drift into the seats. Jason Kubel led off the second with a single. Prado hit one deep in the gap in left center. The Chu tracked down for the first out. Gregorius singled. Miley struck out. Parra walked. Bases loaded. 2 outs and a 1-1 count to Willie Bloomquist. Cueto misses there, 2-1. Now, Bob, in this situation, would he work to the right-hander differently than he would work to the left-hander when Parra was up there?
Yeah, use more sliders. We saw him just miss off the plate with one right there. More breaking pitches to the right-handed hitters, more straight change-ups to the lefties.
Huge gap in left center for Bloomquist. And that one will get down. Kubel will score. Gregorius will score. And Parra's in at third. 2-run single for Willie Bloomquist, and it's 3-0 Diamondbacks.
Willie just serves it out there into shallow right center. Another cutter that time from Cueto. He has gone absolutely cutter mad this season. Threw only 5% cutters last season, over 16% this year. We've talked about that pitch at length already this season. Some guys just absolutely fall in love with that pitch to the detriment of their other stuff, and that appears to be what's happening to Johnny Cueto here tonight.
It seems to sort of, there's two angles to that story, Bob, and as you mentioned, it happens to a lot of guys. One, they get away from the stuff that works for them, and two, it tends to flatten out the other stuff, especially if they're effective fastball pitchers.
It's not the Johnny Cueto I'm used to seeing in the past with the four-seam fastball. Had some tailing action into a righty. Nasty, hard, late-breaking slider and a really good straight changeup. But that cutter has, as you said, taken a little bit off of his other stuff. It's not as sharp.
Chance here for Paul Goldschmidt. Goldie singled his first time up. Gerardo Parra at third. Willie Bloomquist at first. 2 runs in the inning. And Cueto already creeping up on 50 pitches. There's a strike, 0-1. You can see this is a guy with an outstanding track record against the Diamondbacks, and this one is not on the menu for him. Go away here.
Well, this is that age-old question. If you're going to pitch Paul Goldschmidt away, and give him that kind of hole on the right side, if he wanted to, he could just dribble 4 ground balls through there today and go 4 for 4. Of course, that's not what Goldie wants to do. He wants to drive that ball into the gap, pick up that runner at third base, maybe pick up the runner at first base. But when you see this kind of exaggerated shift and then to compound it, you're going to pitch him away. It would seem to really set up an opposite field base hit for Goldie.
Now Votto holding Bloomquist over at first. Phillips is almost directly behind the second base bag. So you could drive a truck through that hole at second base. Up the middle. It drops in. Cozart has to hurry. And he makes the play. Diamondbacks strand 2, but they get 2 in. Willie Bloomquist, RBIs number 7 and 8 on the year for the Diamondbacks second baseman. And Arizona leads the Reds 3-0. Along the way, very happy to be joined here by Corey Hahn, Arizona State freshman baseball player drafted in the 34th round by the Diamondbacks. Corey, I know you're having a great day here at Chase Field. Tell us what it's been like for you.
Yeah, it's been exciting to say the least. It's been busy, but it's been definitely a fun day for me. We've been doing a lot of media stuff, gotten to hang out with the guys and watch batting practice, and just basically enjoy the day with everybody around the Diamondback organization.
What did it mean to be drafted by, especially as an Arizona State Sun Devil, by the Diamondbacks organization?
Oh, it's a very humbling feeling, and it definitely means a lot to me and my family, just because the Diamondbacks didn't necessarily have to do this for us, and the fact that they did just shows what kind of organization they are, and they definitely are close to mine and my family's hearts.
Corey, you've been a real inspiration for a lot of people here. This is an amazing story. You had an accident on the field at just your 3rd game for Arizona State. Can you take us through a little bit what happened there?
Yeah, it was just one of those moments, just a freak injury that I kind of equate to like the perfect storm, and how everything had to go wrong for it to happen, and it just so happened to be basically the wrong place at the wrong time, and I slid in and unfortunately broke my C5 vertebrae and pinched my spinal cord, leaving me paralyzed from chest down and limited mobility with my arms. So, but it's been definitely a grind since then, and I'm continuing to work hard every day to get back to what I want to make a full recovery.
Outstanding.
Well, this organization has said many times, Corey, not only do they want to get good players on the field, but they want good people in the front office. They want good people in every department of the organization, and I think that speaks a lot to your character, whether you're a ball player or not, that the Diamondbacks wanted to bring you on board as part of the family.
Yeah, definitely, and it's also a tribute to what kind of organization the Diamondbacks are too, as well. The fact that the amount of respect I have for them and the things that they've done for me and my family, it's been tremendous, and I can't thank them enough for the opportunity that they've presented me.
What was your reaction when you got the call?
Oh, it was exciting. I was a little nervous because I was on an airplane. So
They called you on the flight.
I was about to take off. I was on the runway. And,
oh wow!
You know, so I answered the phone call, and immediately the stewardess are talking about seatbelts and how to put them on. And so I'm trying to hide my enthusiasm. I don't want to get yelled at, but it was definitely one of those moments that I'll never forget. Just because I was with my mom and dad and got to enjoy it with them, and you know, get off the phone and be like, hey, you know, this is what happened, and to savor that moment, it will be something I'll always remember.
Good start for Wade Miley. He struck out Johnny Cueto to lead off the third, but Derek Robinson draws a one-out walk. And Corey, take us through your day here. We're showing the viewers a little bit about what you've been up to.
Yeah, it started really early. I was up at 6 doing interviews at 6:30 and another one at 7:30, and was able to get back to the hotel and get a little break and relax a little bit before heading over to the field. We got over here at around 1, and since then just been interacting with everybody in the organization, whether it's you know, the front office guys, Kevin Towers, you know, Derek, and you know, and also the guys. It's been something that I always it was just a blast to be in the big league locker room and enjoy it, and have my family here with me, and just enjoy this moment and enjoy the day.
And I'm reading about your high school career. You have been a tremendous baseball player. I mean, you don't need to be humble here. I'm looking at 4 varsity letters, team captain at a really strong program in California, right? Yeah,
I was very fortunate to go to Modern Day High School. I became a great young man from going to that school, and fortunate enough to go there, and then fortunate enough to have success in the baseball field. It's something that I take a lot of pride in, just because of the amount of hard work I put into it, and the amount of hours I spent with my dad and on and off the field. It's not something you achieve overnight, definitely, that's for sure. And to get to where I was something that you know, I wasn't blessed with size, but I got the job done, and that's all that mattered.
Yeah, that's quite a program. They're high school football games I see on national TV all the time.
Yeah, well, you tend to get national publicity when you have guys like Matt Leinart and Matt Barkley going to school there.
Yeah, that's quite an athletic pedigree at that school.
Well, has the organization given you any idea, Corey, of what they have planned for your future, or do you have any preferences in what direction you go at this point?
As of right now, we're still discussing things like that. It depends on school and whatnot, because that's first and foremost I need to get done is to graduate. And as for me, preference-wise, right now it's all up in the air. I kind of just I'm obviously very lucky to have the opportunity that they presented me with to get my career started. And you guys know how the front office stuff works. It can go in so many different directions, and I have so many opportunities that if I work for it, I can achieve different ways. So we'll see.
So academically, all roads are still open?
I'm passing my classes, yes.
No, I meant more like your interests and what you really want to do long term.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's I have a year left of school, and I'm majoring in business, so it's definitely want to be in the business side of things. And what better way to do it than at the professional level with baseball? So that's something that I'm very lucky to have the opportunity to have it, and hopefully I can benefit the Diamondback organization in a positive way.
1-2 to Shin-Soo Choo. How's the team looking this year? 7th pitch of the at-bat coming up. When you watch the Diamondbacks, and I guess you watch them with even more interest now.
Yeah, definitely more interest now. I keep track of it now that I've been in Arizona now for 3 years, and you know, going to school at ASU, obviously I keep track of everything that's going on. And I think right now they're looking really good. I think it's a matter of getting everybody healthy, and once everybody gets healthy, it's going to be very scary because they're winning right now, and they're still missing some key guys that once they get back and everybody's clicking, it could be a very fun team to watch.
Huge strikeout there for Wade Miley. Yeah, there's Eric Chavez. I saw you talking to Eric down there earlier, and he looks like he might be back soon too.
Yeah, I was able to watch him take batting practice today. It looked more fluid, and everything looked like it was going really well. Him and Eaton as well too. It's you know, when they get those guys back, Eaton's a little spark plug, and you know, definitely gets the team going. So it'll be fun to watch as the summer goes on and these guys get healthy.
Joey Votto. Votto singled his first time up.
Boy, just to be in this guy's mind for one at bat. You see him do that all the time. Joey Votto will step out of the box and get this blank stare on his face as the computer is just running in his brain. What pitches he's seen from Wade Miley in his first at bat of this ball game, similar left-handers that he's faced recently. How are guys trying to get me out right now? What can I look for in this particular situation? Votto says he's not a guess hitter, but I think after putting all that information into the computer, he comes up with a pretty good idea of what he's going to see next, and he's ready to hit it.
He has an extremely analytical approach.
He's definitely very talented as well. It's fun to watch this guy swing the bat.
Anybody surprise you today that you got to meet that surprise you with maybe their personality or their style, anything?
I didn't know Hinsky was as big as he is.
Neither did Major League Baseball.
Wow.
We're still working on getting that knocked
Yeah,
out.
I got to meet him in the locker room, and I was yeah.
He's a big dude.
Yeah, and he's awesome guy. He's definitely an awesome clubhouse guy, just from getting to speak to him a little bit, and his personality was something that it made you enjoy talking to him.
I saw Luis Gonzalez down on the field. Did you get a chance to meet Gonzo?
Yeah, actually, a couple of years ago, him and Derek they came to visit me in the hospital days after I got hurt, and so I got to meet them then, and to catch back up with them was awesome, especially for my parents. My dad being a huge baseball guy and getting to talk to him. It was just those two guys just going at it. It was awesome to see, and obviously to talk to Gonzo. He's an awesome guy. He's got a lot of energy and definitely loves this game, and it's fun to talk to him.
So far, so good for Wade Miley. 30 strikes in that pitch count, and he's done a good job. Couple of hits, couple of walks, but has stayed out of trouble so far. And he's one strike away here from getting out of this. And there it is. 4 strikeouts now for Wade Miley. Corey Hahn. Corey, thanks so much for joining us. Wish you all the best.
Thank you guys for having me on.
Congratulations. Sandwiched around a walk, only 2 hits so far.
That's another thing about this Reds offense. They will strike out a bunch. Joey Votto, Shin-Soo Choo, Jay Bruce, Todd Frazier. They got a lot of guys that will swing and miss. They do take their walks, but they do swing and miss quite a bit.
Miguel Montero, Cody Ross, Jason Kubel in the Arizona third. 3-0 Diamondbacks. Gerardo Parra a leadoff single against Cueto in the bottom of the first. And then Willie Bloomquist, a 2-run, 2-out single in the second. Montero first pitch swinging right to that dude, BP. 1 away.
All right, Miguel Montero coming into this game was 0 for 10 lifetime against Johnny Cueto. He's seen 2 pitches and he's 0 for 2 here tonight.
Don't start speeding things up again.
Now, sometimes when you have a bad history against an opposing pitcher, you try to do something different, and without going back and looking at past at-bats from Miguel Montero, it looks like he feels he's better off trying to attack Johnny Cueto early in the count. 2 pitches, 2 outs tonight.
Cody Ross 0 for 1. Cody in right field tonight. It is a Kubel, Parra, Ross outfield left to right for Kirk Gibson. There's a strike, 0-1. Johnny Cueto has not allowed more than 3 runs in his last 10 starts. That dates back, of course, to last year. So he's already given up 3 here. And this would be a tremendous way, Bob, to start this series against a very good team if they can beat a guy who was unbeaten previously against the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, the Reds can run some good arms at you out of that rotation, but none better than Johnny Cueto, especially when he's on top of his game.
Struck him out looking. Second strikeout for Johnny Cueto. 2 down in the third.
Hey, D-backs fans, anytime the D-backs score 6 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Jason Kubel singled and scored his first time up. Jason's season numbers skewed somewhat by his difficult May when he played with that aggravated quad injury that kept him on the DL and forced him to miss 14 games in April. And he was in and out of the lineup all month in May. Never really could get going. But June has been a different story. Over 300, 8 RBIs.
Jason just looks like he has a better grasp of his own strike zone right now, what he can handle, what he can't handle. When you're not getting regular at bats and your playing time is very sporadic, that's the toughest thing to come to grips with as a hitter, is what's a strike, what's not a strike, what can I hit, what can't I hit.
He hits that one down the line and right, and it's out of play. Kubel's shift is on, Bob. Take a look at third baseman Todd Frazier. He's essentially playing shortstop. And the shortstop, Zach Cozart, is directly behind the second base bag.
I think if you looked at the spray charts rather for Jason Kubel, this would make a lot of sense, this defensive alignment. When he hits a ball on the ground, generally it's to his pull field. When he hits a ball in the air, he sprays it all over the place.
This is upstairs there. Johnny Cueto has been laboring the whole game. Parra led off with a home run, and he has never really settled into a rhythm since. Here's the 3-2 pitch to Jason Kubel. Over the glove of Frazier at shortstop, and Kubel's 2 for 2.
That's a nice approach against that exaggerated pull shift. There you see the balls in play by location. You see the ground balls all to the right side. And when you see that exaggerated pull shift, all you're doing as a hitter, especially with 2 strikes, is looking for something the middle of the plate away you can just slap over that direction.
Martin Prado, pretty fair track record against Johnny Cueto, coming in 5 for 12 with a homer. He drove the ball deep to left center his first time up that Shin-Soo Choo tracked down for an out.
You saw that last fastball by Cueto off the plate up and into Martin Prado, no question about that, but 95 miles per hour. This guy's got a really good fastball. Getting back to that topic about the cut fastball and what it does to the rest of your arsenal. I don't know why he wouldn't be content to pitch with a 95-mile-an-hour heater, a slider, and a changeup, but has really started to use that cutter to excess.
1-1. Cueto last started Sunday against Milwaukee at Great American Ballpark and pitched very well. 6 innings of 1-run ball without a walk. That was his first start this month. Prado hard down the line, and it's foul. Cueto threw 88 pitches in his last start on Sunday against the Brewers. His high for the season is 108, but that came way back in his second start of the year on April 7th. So far 61 pitches, 38 for strikes. And it's chopped to second base. Brandon Phillips is there. And Martin Prado is 0 for 2. Diamondbacks ran the 2-out base runner. We're through 3. They lead it 3-0.
He deserves it. He's having a great year. He's one of the best first basemen in baseball. And, he gets my vote. I will vote for him. I really would.
And look who backs Goldie for the All-Star game. Joey Votto's teammate, Brandon Phillips. I asked Brandon Phillips about the fact that Paul Goldschmidt is 5 RBIs ahead of him for the National League lead. Then I asked him about, but I know who your All-Star vote's going to, right? He said, you know what, I don't vote, but I'd vote for Goldie. Sure, why not?
America's first baseman. Vote early, vote often. Brandon Phillips leads off the Cincinnati 4th against Wade Miley. And Bob, this is the point at which Wade Miley needs to be careful, because I go back to his last start when we watched him against the Padres at Petco Park. 3 hitless innings. And then against San Diego in that 4th, it very quickly and out of nowhere turned into a 5-run Padre 4th. And this is the point at which Wade often gets bitten by that big inning that you spoke about earlier.
And in some of his past starts, it really almost looked physically like Wade Miley just stopped pitching and started throwing. And I know he doesn't like to overthink his craft out there on the mound, just likes to get his sign from Miguel and fire that next pitch and then get ready and do it all over again. But you still have to try to execute pitches. You can't just throw for the middle of the plate and hope for the best against a big league lineup.
There has been a troubling trend with Wade Miley this year. In the first 3 innings this season, opponents hit .201 against him. In innings 4 through 6, that opponent batting average jumps up to .342. And as we've seen that so often with Wade, he gets off to good starts, then the 4th or 5th rolls along, and suddenly there's the big inning. So let's try and watch him here over the next 2 innings or so and see if he can continue as he has so far. So good. He's been very good. In fact, got 3 strikeouts in that 3rd. Phillips lifts that one in the air to center field. Gerardo Parra has plenty of it. And there's one away. Brandon Phillips 0 for 2. Time for our AT&T Twitter poll question. Who's the best first baseman in baseball? Hashtag FSAZ in front of either Goldie, Chris Davis of the Orioles, who's having a monster season, Joey Votto, or Prince Fielder in Detroit. Tweet your vote to @FoxSportsArizona. Here's Jay Bruce, struck out looking his first time. Bob, would you care to weigh? Well, You have to vote for America's first baseman.
Yeah, we're very biased. We see this guy on a daily basis, not only during the games, but before and after the games, the preparation that he does on a daily basis, the weight work he does.
Good night and goodbye. Wow, that is crushed. Jay Bruce, his 16th home run of the season. Mentioned that he's been on a home run tear. He's homered 5 times in his last 7 games, and now make it 6 homers in his last 8. It's 3-1. He hit that one to Mesa. And as we said, this is the point where Wade needs to bear down a little bit. Todd Frazier. That was a big league home run. Frazier grounded to third his first time. There it is, just what we were talking about, the 4th inning. It's been an issue. It was an issue in his previous start at San Diego. There's a strike, 3-1. He did not go, says Paul Schreiber at first. So Jay Bruce now 16 homers on the season and 6 homers in his last 8 games. Third walk issued by Wade Miley. That brings up Zach Cozart. Cozart singled back in the second. 1 out, a run in, man at first. Miley has 4 strikeouts. He's now walked 3. And that one gets through Montero. Frazier to second.
We're going to take a look at the 2 pitches to Jay Bruce in that at bat. The first one is a slider, a good slider. Starts over the heart of the plate, ends up low and away. Bruce swings right through it. Miley tries to come back with the same pitch, but leaves that one hanging over the inside part of the plate. Now, you can't really say, well, that's the wrong pitch. You shouldn't have called for a slider. You shouldn't have thrown a slider. If you throw it in the location where the first one was, you probably get another swing and a miss. But that one just spun up there, stayed on the inside part where Bruce could handle it.
I think he keeps that one in front, and Frazier stays put at second after the wild pitch moved him up 90 feet. And Bob, this is following the script we just talked about. Got a quick out from Phillips on a ball hit fairly well to center field. Then the long home run, a walk, a wild pitch, and now he's behind 2-0 here.
And I guarantee you, Charles Nagy and Kirk Gibson are well aware of the numbers that we've talked about up here in this inning. They know what they are. And to that end, I'm sure they've taken a stopwatch and gone back and looked at videotape. Is he working more quickly in those bad innings? Is he working more slowly? They look at the pitch selection. Is he throwing different pitches than he threw in the first 3 innings? Trying everything they can to figure out why something like this happens to a good pitcher.
And now he's behind 3-1 to Cozart. Wade Miley has not pitched well at home this year. In 4 starts at Chase Field, his ERA is almost 7. Three and 1 to Zach Cozart. Good pitch there. It's 3-2.
A strikeout here would be huge. It would at least give you the option of walking Ryan Hannigan with 2 outs in the inning to get to the pitcher spot with the runner in scoring position.
On the ground to short. Here comes Didi Gregorius. And Didi makes a nice play. One former Red shortstop throws out the current Red shortstop. Frazier moves to third with 2 outs. BB, Star Wars Day Sunday. Some stormtroopers are in the house. You've got some Death Star employees, some of the Empire pilots, and the stormtroopers. And Sunday's a big day at Chase Field. I hope you can join us for Star Wars Day. We're going to have a Star Wars theme at the ballpark. And remember, Chase Field is not so far away, so come on down. Ryan Hannigan grounded out his first time up 0 for 1. Miley trying to strand Frazier at third. A run in on the Bruce home run. Jim Reynolds, the plate umpire, checking in with Hannigan. Miley ahead 0-2. This would be a big out. He started going down that road, Bob, where he's gotten into trouble so many times. But suddenly here, it seems he's put on the brakes. And if he can strand Frazier at third, that might go a long way to solving the issue.
This at bat by Ryan Hannigan is a perfect illustration of why it's so tough to hit in that 8 spot in the lineup. Runner at third base with 2 outs in the inning, the pitcher spot on deck. Hannigan's probably thinking to himself, they're not going to give me anything good to hit. They're going to try to get me to chase something out of the zone. And Miley promptly threw 2 fastballs right over the inside part of the plate, catching Hannigan looking at both of them. You can definitely overthink these at bats in that 8 spot.
Chase that one. Montero has to make a play. Frazier comes in from third, but Miggy throws him out at first. That's the strikeout, and they strand that runner at third base. We'll go bottom 4. It's 3-1 Diamondbacks. CenturyLink your link to what's next. Gerardo Parra has already homered once so far. Ram Trucks, proud partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks. And by by Ram Trucks, proud partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks. And by Gila River, another proud partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks. A Friday night at Chase Field. Diamondbacks lead the Reds 3-1. Pepsi and the D-backs offer you a chance to catch a game from the RamTruck.com pool area. Look for specially marked packages of Pepsi 12-ounce cans for a chance to find a limited edition D-backs can. Pepsi, live for now. And living out by the pool's the way to go. RamTrucks.com pool area at Chase Field on a Friday night. That's a pretty good gig. Gregorius Miley Parra 8-9-1 in the Arizona fourth against Johnny Cueto. Didi singled and scored his first time up. Diamondbacks have out-hit Cincinnati 6-3. And the D-backs here trying to reverse a trend. The Reds have won 12 of their last 14 games at Chase Field. That includes a 3-game sweep here last August. fact, Cincinnati is 25-9 all time in Arizona when the roof is closed, but just 4-11 when it's open. And of course, at this point in the year, everything's going to be locked up for the whole series.
Hermetically sealed.
In a mayonnaise jar on fucking Wagnall's porch. Yid. 2-1 to Didi Gregorius. High in the air, drifting toward the gap in left center. And Robinson comes over and makes the catch. One down in the fourth.
Hey fans, tomorrow baseball night in America comes to the desert for game 2 between the D-backs and the Reds. Patrick Corbin goes for win number 10, plus Paul Goldschmidt and Joey Votto. Baseball night in America tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Good seats, good snacks. Wade Miley struck out his first time up. Wade now 2 for 25 on the year with 8 strikeouts. Bob, I think that was a really good inning for Wade Miley in that he came close to going off the rails. The home run, the walk, the wild pitch. Suddenly there's a guy on third, but then he got the ground ball and the strikeout to end the damage right there and not turn it into that big inning.
Yeah, too many times he just hasn't been able to stop that ball from rolling downhill, but be able to strand that runner at third base. That was a big step forward for Wade Miley.
He's got a 3-1 lead as he bats in the fourth with 1 out. Now it's 70 pitches for Cueto, 43 for strikes, so the command is not quite what you're used to seeing from him. That's a good view. Reds have won the NL Central 2 of the last 3 seasons, but haven't gotten past the division series. They had the collapse against the Giants last year. Central's nuts, Bob. I mean, the Pirates are really playing well. Garrett Cole is up there. They have some great young players, Marte and everybody. And how about this? 43-30 for the Pirates, and they're 4 games back. Wade Miley up the middle. 7 hits for the Diamondbacks. They have a 1-out base runner, and here comes Gerardo Parra.
Now that Central Division has the 3 best records in the major leagues. The Cardinals on pace to win 104, the Reds 96, and the Pirates 95. Long way to go, but at least those first 2 teams aren't going anywhere.
You got to keep an eye on them in terms of the wild card. Gerardo Parra, this is what he did his first time up against Cueto tonight. His 5th leadoff home run this year. That's the most in the major leagues.
Diamondbacks have had unbelievable production from that leadoff spot, mostly from Gerardo Parra.
On the ground to second, Phillips, Cozart, and they roll it. Cueto's out of the inning. We're through 4. Diamondbacks lead at 3-1. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. By Mazda. We believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. And by Jack in the Box. Now's your chance to go big at Jack in the Box. Try Jack's Big Stack Burger. 2 jumbo beef patties stacked with onion rings, cheese, and pickles. Set for the 5th inning at Chase Field. Diamondbacks lead the Reds 3-1. And a roster move today, Bob. This is a Zeke Spruill, who came to the Diamondbacks in the Justin Upton Martin Prado trade. And there was a roster move. Josh Wilson, unfortunately, designated for assignment. We wish Josh the best. It was great having him here. Zeke Spruill called up to help fortify that exhausted bullpen. And he has really pitched well as a starter for Reno.
Yeah, no question about it. He's done a nice job, and you know, with suspensions being served and some guys on the disabled list, they just needed another arm. Zeke Spruill happens to be throwing the ball as good as anybody in the minor league system, so he gets the nod.
Cueto leads off the 5th, and this could be the first of what might be a series of roster moves over the next week. Cueto pops up the bunt in a good spot to first, and they have no play. Johnny Cueto, a bunt base hit. It just died there in no man's land, and Goldie had to go get it. No one able to cover the bag in time.
Yeah, you can't do it any better than that. Johnny Cueto gets a lot of backspin on this ball. Pops it up in the air right in front of Paul Goldschmidt. It just kind of checked up and died by the time Goldie gets to it. Nobody had enough time to get over and cover the bag at first, so Cueto leads it off with a bunt single to the right side.
Derek Robinson walked his last time up, 0 for 1. Lifted in the air, first base side, and Paul Goldschmidt gives it a look, but it's out of play. Derek Robinson, a standout high school football player. This is a guy that ran a 4.25 40 in high school. Urban Meyer was all over him to play cornerback for the Florida Gators on those Tim Tebow teams, but Robinson loved baseball, chose baseball instead, and passed on a chance to play what turned out to be Urban's national championship team in Florida. He loved baseball, signed with the Kansas City Royals instead. Never ran track, I should say, in high school, despite blazing speed, because track season always conflicted with baseball. Played 7 seasons in the minor leagues with the Royals. Never really did a whole lot. Hit .255. That's his career minor league average. But Reds got him, and he's come in handy. Done a good job with all these injuries out there with Heisey and Ludwig. Center field, Parafrose now comes in. Makes something of a leaping catch to get the first out. Shin-Soo Choo.
With a pitcher running the bases, Parr is always looking for some way to maybe decoy them into taking an extra step or two, and then giving Gerardo an opportunity to maybe throw behind for the out.
I mean, what is that? What is he doing?
I think he just kind of overcharged that ball a little bit, got a late start and got to the spot more quickly than he thought he was going to, but always looking at the runner.
Chu has walked and struck out, lets that one out of play, third base side. All you can eat section on a Friday night at Chase Field. That's a good call. And everybody up there taking advantage. Just move on down the line. Grab whatever you can.
Looks like a couple of those people been through the line several times already.
Bob Bradley, ladies and gentlemen. 0-1. There's a strike.
Good news from Reno. Even though they trail the Fresno Grizzlies 3-2 tonight in the 4th inning, J.J. Putz started that ball game for the Reno Aces, pitched his inning, struck out 3 guys, walked 1 batter, otherwise zeros across the board.
It's funny, Zeke Spruill was supposed to start that game against Biff Bonser. What's the guy that Boof Bonser, the former Twins great.
Boof Bonser.
Yeah. Sit on it, Potsy. And there's Zeke. Instead, he's in the big leagues. And he has really been good as a starter lately. Boy, these guys get on base. The top of these orders. Chu and Votto, Parra, Goldschmidt.
I'm not sure the Reds realized what kind of player they were getting with Shin-Soo Choo. He has really been a revelation for the Reds, getting on base as often as he has. We talked about the thunder in the middle of this Redlegs lineup. If you've got somebody hitting in that one spot, or in the case tonight in the 2 spot, that's getting on base as often as Choo is, you're going to score a boatload of runs. His on base percentage .426 coming into play tonight.
Second in the National League behind only Joey Votto. Chu had played nearly 600 games in right field in Cleveland, usually hit lower in the lineup, often third, but this April opened up his Reds career. He had .377 and got on base almost 50% of the time. And they look like geniuses. They were down. We believe this guy can be our center fielder. He can be our leadoff man. They've searched for a leadoff man time and time again. So often they had Drew Stubbs in there. And now they're going to take a look at Wade Miley.
Yeah, kind of awkwardly fell off the mound there at the end of this last delivery. Yeah,
ooh, right there.
Came around and tried to plant that left foot on the side of the mound and slid a little bit. Yeah, Didi Gregorius was the first one to notice it. Came in from his shortstop position. Then eventually Miguel Montero out to check on Miley. And now Ken Crenshaw, the head athletic trainer, is out there.
And keep in mind, we just saw Trevor Cahill Wednesday afternoon get hit in the right hip by a liner off Marcell Ozuna to win the first inning, and he had to leave that game. You can see the grimace on Wade Miley's face there. Now he'll give it a go on the mound. And Bob, this is interesting. What they talked about with Trevor was it was just a hip contusion when the ball hit him on that hip, but the concern was that the pain in the hip would cause him to alter his delivery and create an injury.
Now that's usually the overriding concern. Isn't always so much where you got hit with the ball. It's how is that going to affect your delivery for the rest of the day? Is it going to put undue stress and strain on your throwing arm? This was Trevor Cahill on Wednesday. Rocket off the bat of Marcell Ozuna, ricocheted over to Prado, who actually got the out at first base, but Cahill clearly limping as he left the field, tried to go out and throw some warm-up pitches in the next inning, just couldn't go.
So we'll keep an eye now on Wade Miley to see if anything is altered in his delivery. It's a 2-2 to Chu. He misses there, and it's full 3-2. Looked like he had a pretty good hole built up on that mound.
Now that ball was tapped foul to the right side. I think Wade was trying to plant his foot and bust it over to first base if necessary.
Boy, Shin-Soo Choo gets on base. That's his second walk tonight. And the Reds have 2 on with 1 out in the 5th.
Baseman Joey Votto.
That's the 4th walk issued by Wade Miley. And some activity in the bullpen. That is usually the 5th inning stretch, the 5th inning Zumba class they have out there. Joey Votto singled in the 1st, struck out in the 3rd, 1 for 2. Phone's ringing, dude. Thank you, Donnie. Glenn Sherlock on the other end. Cueto, the runner at second. Chu at first. 0-1 to Votto. Miley jumps ahead 0-2. Bob, what about a guy here like Votto, who we know takes his walks, will not swing at a bad pitch? He might have to expand the zone here anyway at 0-2, but should he maybe swing at a close pitch and try and drive the runs in rather than take a walk in this situation down 3-1?
Well, normally I would say yes, but with Brandon Phillips sitting behind him, a guy that kind of cleans up whatever messes are left by Joey Votto, I'd say stick with your game plan. And when you talk about expanding a strike zone, for some guys that means they chase a pitch 2 feet out of the zone. For Joey Votto, it's a matter of inches. I mean, he has got that good a strike recognition up there at the plate that he knows his zone. And when he goes outside the zone, usually it's only a matter of a couple of inches.
Going up to get that one. He's back even at 2-2. So Will Harris throwing in the Diamondbacks bullpen and Tony Sipp loosening.
Now, Votto does what a very few middle of the lineup run producers do. You see he's choked up on that bat about an inch here in a 2-strike count.
Lifts it into left. That gets down. Jason Kruger gives chase and cuts it off. Cueto will score. And choosing to third. The play at second is not in time. And the Reds are within one. It's 3-2. Joey Votto 2 for 3.
Choked up on that bat about an inch. Just wants to be able to control the barrel of the bat. That time has to go down, really crouch down and get to that outside pitch, but he's able to keep it fair down into the left field corner. Boy, only a really nice play by Jason Kubel. Otherwise, the Reds score a couple on that one.
Miguel Montero to the mound, and here comes Brandon Phillips. Began the day tied with Carlos Gonzalez for second in the National League in RBIs, behind only Paul Goldschmidt. And he's up there in a good RBI chance now, but hold on, here comes Kirk Gibson. The right-hander has been warming for Gibby. The right-hander is up for Phillips. And with Wade Miley at already 96 pitches, we'll see what Gibby does here.
Well, it looks like he's giving Wade Miley an opportunity to plead his case.
What do you think about that?
I think you have to use your own judgment. I don't know very many pitchers that would say, yeah, I don't feel real well, get me out of here. They want to stay in the game. They want to continue to pitch. Especially a guy like Wade Miley. And apparently he said the right words to Kirk Gibson. He's going to be given the opportunity to face the right-hand hitting Brandon Phillips here with a couple of men in scoring position. I think you really have to trust your pitching coach. You have to trust your own eyes. You have to trust what you see from the opposing team, the kind of swings they're taking against a guy. And given his past history, this is a little bit of a risk for me.
Interesting call by Gibby. Will Harris has pitched very well lately. He had the right-hander loosening, warmed up in time, ready to go, but he'll let Miley work to Phillips. Chu is on third. Votto is on second. A 3-0 Diamondbacks lead has been trimmed to 3-2. That dude BP 0 for 2 so far. Chu at third, Votto at second after the RBI double.
Best fastball of the night right there for Wade Miley at 95, just off the plate inside.
Keep in mind, even if you jump ahead on Phillips here, he is the best 2-strike hitter in baseball. So this is a tall order for the lefty Wade Miley. Chops it to short. Deep. Gregorius can't get there. And Chu will score the tying run. It's 3-3. It got stuck on the ground under the glove of Didi. That's just a bad break for Wade Miley because he got the result he was looking for.
It looked like Didi might have had thoughts about coming home there. He was charging that ball hard straight in. We know he has a strong throwing arm. Yeah, perhaps just a brief thought about maybe going home with that ball, and in his haste to get to it, it just snuck underneath the glove. That'll be an E6.
Votto stays put at second. Phillips aboard at first. Still only one out. Here's Jay Bruce in a long home run his last time up. Perhaps Bob Gibby was thinking if he does manage to get Phillips, he's still in good shape with the Miley Bruce matchup, and hopefully that gets you out of the fifth. This was Jay Bruce's last time up. High, deep, and gone. His 16th home run of the season and his 6th homer in the last 8 games. 5 in the last 6. 2-1.
Hey, you notice Jay Bruce has an unusual thing he does as he gets in that left-handed batter's box right before Wade Miley starts his delivery. He actually takes his left hand off the bat and kind of stretches his left arm. When he first got to the big leagues, home plate umpires gave him time out all the time because they thought he was requesting time, but it's just part of his pre-swing routine, straightening out that left arm one last time before taking his grip on the bat.
That had to be fairly disruptive, I would imagine. No, I don't want time. I'm fine. What are you doing?
Put your hand down.
Bruce ahead here, 3-1. Star Wars Day coming up Sunday at Chase Field. It's been a long inning for Wade Miley, trying to limit the damage. He should have 2 outs. 27 pitches in this inning. A big part of that, the 9-pitch at bat to Shin-Soo Choo, who worked a walk, came in and scored. 3-2 to Jay Bruce. Off Miley. Didi going toward the bag to get the force at second. Bruce busted up the line, and he's aboard. Nice play by Gregorius there to salvage something after the ball caromed off Miley. And now here comes Kirk Gibson. That's going to be it.
Well, you've got that string of right-handed hitters coming up now after Jay Bruce. You get another look at that play. Of course, you never know as a pitcher, but if Miley gets out of the way, it looked like that ground ball was going to lead Didi right to the base. As it is, he has to change directions, make a diving stop, a backhanded flip just to get the force at second.
Wade Miley's night ends after just 4 2/3 in a 3-3 game. We'll take a break at Chase Field. Innings allowed 6 runs on 6 hits. Only one of the runs was earned because of an error by Didi Gregorius. Johnny Cueto was upset after his rough start. And now Wade Miley has had another error behind him by Didi on a difficult play nonetheless. But again, it didn't quite go his way behind him. And now Will Harris is in to try and put out this fire with runners on first and third and 2 outs. He'll face Todd Frazier for the Reds. Frazier has grounded out and walked 0 for 1. Will Harris last worked Friday at Petco Park, 1 1/3 scoreless with a pair of strikeouts. And Will has really pitched well over his last 11 appearances. Only 6 hits, 12 strikeouts.
Boy, the walks for Wade Miley is what's really puzzling.
4 walks.
He walked 37 all last season in 194 2/3 innings. He's walked 31 already this year in 88 innings.
Check on Bruce over at first. Well, Bobby always is around and in the strike zone. Is it maybe a question of just location? I mean, if you're going to be in the zone all the time and you start missing even by a little bit, you're going to have quite a different result.
And some of it could also be that the league is a little more aware of Wade Miley and his attack on opposing hitters out there on the mound.
Last 7 starts, 1-5. The ERA at 6.5 for Wade. He leaves tonight after 4 2/3, responsible for 2 base runners. Two and 2 to Todd Frazier. Swings at a ball in the dirt. Montero will have plenty of time. There's the throw. That completes the strikeout, and the Reds strand 2. But we've got a tie game at Chase Field. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Willie Bloomquist, Paul Goldschmidt, and Miguel Montero in the D-backs 5th. Friday night at Chase Field, Reds and Diamondbacks, a couple of NL postseason contenders in a tie ball game, 3-3. Due in no small part to Willie Bloomquist. This is our Chaz Roberts air conditioning cool play of the game. A 2-run, 2-out single in the second.
Nice piece of hitting on a high cutter up and out over the plate. Just guided it out there toward the gap in right center to drive home a couple of teammates.
Willie 1 for 2. He'll lead off the 5th against Johnny Cueto. Bloomquist, Goldschmidt, Montero 2, 3, and 4 in the Arizona 5th. 7 hits for the Diamondbacks, 5 for Cincinnati. We've talked, Bob, about the injuries the Reds have suffered in their outfield, missing Chris Heisey and Ryan Ludwig. They think Heisey might be back on Tuesday, but as this game wears on, you need to talk about the Cincinnati bullpen. Health has been an issue out there as well. Jonathan Broxton is on the DL. He's got an elbow strain. Sean Marshall is on the DL. He's got a sprained shoulder. Nick Massett with that big curveball. He's been out all year after a shoulder operation. So they do have the Cuban Missile back there, Aroldis Chapman, but a lot of their key setup guys are out. So if that becomes an issue late in the game, and it looks like that's where we're headed with Miley already gone and now Cueto nearing 80 pitches, that's something to think about.
Yeah, that was considered to be one of the strengths of the Reds going into the season. Sean Marshall, one of the best left-handed setup guys in the game. Jonathan Broxton, a former closer with a big-time right arm, leading the way to Aroldis Chapman in the 9th. Yeah, you're right. I don't care who you run out there. It's going to be a different look in that 7th and 8th inning.
Those guys are all good pitchers. 1-2 to Willie. A base hit. Bloomquist 2 for 3. Diamondbacks have the leadoff man on in the 5th against Johnny Cueto. Now 8 hits for Arizona.
Deflected off that left side of the mound just a little bit, but not enough to bounce that ball back to Zach Cozart at shortstop.
Goldie gone. Now would be a good time. Ball singled in the 1st, grounded out in the 2nd. He's 1 for 2. Narrative that says the D-backs rely too heavily, too often on Goldie for offense. It was somewhat reinforced in the games between Paul's home runs in the Giants series and the Marlins series, and that big one on Friday night against the Giants that helped win it, and then the 2 home runs against Miami. That one is driven deep to right field. Jay Bruce is at the wall and it's out of here. Paul Goldschmidt has done it again. His 18th home run. The National League's RBI later puts the Diamondbacks back out front. Goldie gone. That's another Fulton home run. $150 to Central Arizona Mountain Rescue. Going the other way, Bob Burnley.
It's almost like when you were a kid and you didn't have enough guys to field a full team, so as a hitter you had to call your field. Well, Paul Goldschmidt right now is just going to call right field, because that's where everybody's pitching him. That's where he's hitting the ball. Another nice catch by a fan out there. Way to go, Goldie.
Miguel Montero, 9 hits and 5 runs off Johnny Cueto. The 9 hits and 5 homers, the most he's allowed all year long. Paul Goldschmidt make it 18 now and 64 RBIs. Not bad. What a franchise foundation building block. And guys like that carry the load when other guys are hurt or injured, struggling. He has been the rock around which Kevin Towers can hopefully build a National League West champion. And we're headed down that road, fans. Started to say, Bob, that in the games between Goldie's homers in the Giants series and the Marlins series, he went 3 for 33 when he was down a little bit. We talked about how they'd been pitching him. 3 for 33 in the 8 games between his home runs. Diamondbacks went 2 and 6 in those 8 games. But you can't keep a good man down for long.
And that's why it was so important. Initially, it was Eric Chavez that got hot, hitting behind Goldie to make sure teams had to pitch to Paul Goldschmidt. And if you've got one guy in your lineup that's doing that kind of damage on a regular basis, eventually teams are going to stop pitching to him unless somebody else in the lineup picks up the slack.
Miggy laces it into right. Single, home run, single to open the 5th.
We talked about Eric Chavez protecting Goldie in the lineup. Miguel Montero's been swinging it much better lately. Cody Ross is starting to show signs of life with that bat, driving the ball into the gaps and out of the ballpark. That'll take some of the pressure off of Paul Goldschmidt. He'll be able to take his walks and turn it over to the guys hitting behind him.
We talked about how good Johnny Cueto has been overall and really good against the Diamondbacks, and how the Arizona offense had struggled. They've got 10 hits and 5 runs and 4+. So throw it all out the window. NL MVP. And a lot of guys who vote for those things, rightly or wrongly, emphasize value to team, and they judge that for themselves. They all have their own criteria. But if you subscribe to that theory and you want to talk about Votto versus Goldschmidt and talk about value to the team, which team is more dependent on its guy, clearly the answer is the Diamondbacks and Paul Goldschmidt. Just foul. Bob Davidson down there, so nobody balk.
Not yet.
Give him time.
He's just settling in.
One and two to Cody. Reds bullpen getting busy down there. They want tacos, Bob. They want to run away. Find a gap, hit one down the line here, which could be tacos for everybody. Stays alive. Two pitches now for Johnny Cueto, and a not terribly efficient 57 for strikes as Cody walks that one off a bit. And so Dusty Baker has some action in his bullpen. Guys getting loose down there. And as we mentioned, it's a somewhat undermanned bullpen. J.J. Hoover is up. 2-2 to Cody Ross. Miguel Montero on first. Strikes him out looking. Second time Cody Ross has done that today. Paul Goldschmidt, the big hit in this inning so far, his 18th home run, and let's check the ball speed off the bat. Just under 100. He's so still.
There's just not much there to fool. I mean, a lot of big hitters we talk about, they take a big long swing, they have holes up and in, you can throw off-speed stuff low and away. Goldie has a very short, abbreviated swing, like you would see a singles hitter at the top of the order. Let the ball get deep, just get the barrel on it and make contact, but because he's so strong, that one gets all the way through to the backstop. Because he's so strong, he can generate as much power with that short, abbreviated swing as most power hitters can swinging from their heels.
You always see him warming up, whether it's in batting practice, the on-deck circle, even in the batter spots when he steps out. He makes that motion where he just kind of chops down, almost like an axe. With his elbow kind of stays in place, and he just chops straight down on it with those forearms.
Yeah, his practice swings aren't really swings. It looks very much like a chop. He simulates the point of contact and then kind of stops right there.
1-0 to Jason Kubel. Kubel so far 2 for 2, a pair of singles. He scored a run. Watch the chopping motion, Bob. And he's so still there, no movement.
I'd be smiling too. I'd be smiling every day I woke up. If I had that young man's ability.
1-1. Kubel is center field. Chu coming in, and he's going to have it drop in front. Montero had to hold up. He gets into third. Jason Kubel 3 for 3. Miggy held up halfway just to make sure Chu didn't get there. Here comes Dusty Baker. Hoover has been warming in the Reds bullpen. Here's Jason Kubel's third hit tonight.
Chu plays a very deep center field. Got a late start that time. Mickey did have to hold up just in case, but when it drops in front, he's able to motor on to third.
And that will end Johnny Cueto's night. He leaves with 2 on and 1 out, down 5-3. We'll take a break. New pitcher coming on for Cincinnati. D-backs lead 5-3. Wow. 5 runs, 11 hits. He's responsible for a pair of base runners out there. And he had been outstanding, as we'd mentioned, against the Diamondbacks coming into tonight. In fact, he had never lost to Arizona in 6 previous starts. 5-0, a 1.66 ERA. He got knocked around the yard tonight.
Catch him on a bad night. That's what you're supposed to do when a pitcher doesn't have command of his off-speed stuff. Shies away from that 95-mile-an-hour fastball in favor of that 88-mile-an-hour cutter. That's what you're supposed to do to a struggling pitcher.
And here comes the right-hander. This is J.J. Hoover. His last 4 appearances have been scoreless. 1 out in the 5th. Miguel Montero on third after a single. Jason Kubel on first after his 3rd single tonight. He's 3 for 3. And here comes Martin Prado, so far 0 for 2. 2 runs in this inning on Paul Goldschmidt's 18th home run. Right field, Jay Bruce started in, now drifts back. Montero will tag. Here's the throw in. It drifts through. Miggy scores. 6-3 Diamondbacks. RBI for Martin Prado. And Bob Bradley will see at Taco Bell tomorrow.
Indeed you will. Miguel Montero tags up. Thought he was going to score easily. Has to really turn it on about halfway down that third base line, but we got tacos.
Here's Didi Gregorius, 1 for 2, singled and scored in the 2nd. 11 hits for the Diamondbacks. A 3-run 5th. They lead at 6-3. Tell you what, against a really good Reds team here, Johnny Cueto on the mound. You hadn't got anything off the guy ever. This would be a really nice win. This is a good solid W if they can finish the thing out. That one might get through. That dude BP is there. Can't handle it. And now Kubel takes off for third. It rolls in a shallow right. First and third for Arizona. A little too slowly, a little too far for Phillips. And a good heads-up base running play by Kubel.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to give Phillips an error right here, even though that's a base hit. Didi gets an infield hit for that, but when the ball got away, that allowed Kubel to advance 90 feet second to third. Haven't heard a ruling yet, but would certainly appear like that should be an error on Brandon Phillips to allow Kubel, who had stopped at second, to advance 90 more feet when the ball got away from Phillips.
And now here comes Eric Hinsky. He will hit for the pitcher's spot. That's Will Harris right now. Harris came on in relief of Wade Miley and struck out Todd Frazier to end the top of the fifth.
Now that will be ruled an infield single for Didi Gregorius, and then an error on Brandon Phillips to allow Kubel to advance from second to third.
Eric 180 on the year, but as a pinch hitter this season, he's done an outstanding job. 9 for 38. Get him involved early. Zeke Sproul just called up today from Reno. He was actually supposed to start tonight for the Aces against the Fresno Grizzlies, but he's in the big leagues now and is loosening up. Josh Wilson designated for assignment to make room. 1-1 to Eric Hinsky. Eric is a pinch hitter, 237. 3 doubles, a homer, and 5 RBIs. Talking to Mark Reed, the bullpen catcher, before the game during batting practice, watching Eric Hinsky hit. And Reeder said, that guy has the toughest job in baseball, pointing to Eric Hinsky. Eighth man to hit in this inning. Eric says he does this everything the same way every day. 6:40 home game. He's here at 1, has lunch. 1:30 to 2 in the hot and cold tub, sauna, shower, the whole thing, stretching, lifting in the workout room. 3:40 stretches on the field. Hang time in the clubhouse is 5. Eat something, then get ready for 6:40 first pitch. 4th and 5th inning on. He's locked in, waiting for the word from Kirk Gibson. Hannigan has to keep an eye on Kubel down there at third.
And the really challenging part of the job is knowing full well that you may go days between at bats. And then when you do get that at bat, it's usually against the 8th and 9th inning relief pitchers for an opposing team, which is not always a trip to the beach.
It's funny because if you go through his game logs, he'll play almost every game, but then under at bat is just 1 every time. AB 1, AB 1, 1 a night. 2-2. Hinsky says he just watches the lineup card, watches the opposing pitcher's pitch count, tries to be his own manager up there, and know when you might have yourself hitting if you were the manager. Tries to figure it out along with Kirk Gibson so he can anticipate when he needs to really be ready. Hard down the line and out of play. This is really good at bat.
And that's a rarity for Eric Hinsky as well, seeing a lot of pitches in and at bat. Usually he's coming off that bench looking for the first fastball close to the strike zone.
Yeah, he says that's a real key for him as a pinch hitter. Be aggressive. He's worked it full, 3-2. Bloomquist singled. Goldie homered his 18th. Cody Ross followed a Miguel Montero single with a strikeout. Prado a sac fly. Gregorius a single. 3 runs in the inning. Didi takes off. Hinske draws the walk. The bases are loaded.
A good at bat. You can see just trying to stay out of the middle of the plate against Eric Hinske, especially jamming him inside with fastballs. The off-speed pitches down and away out of the zone. Good battling at bat that time by Hinske.
And Gerardo Parra, who homered as the first Diamondback hitter tonight, has a chance to break this thing wide open. Bases loaded and 2 outs. Parra homered in the first, walked in the second, hit into a double play his last time up. As you see here, a very good hitter career-wise with the bases full. Kubel at third, Gregorius at second, Hinske at first. There's a strike, 0-1.
That's Hoover's best secondary pitch, that nasty curveball. Throws a lot of heaters. He does have a slider and a changeup as well, but situations like this, it's mostly going to be fastball, curveball.
Parra, the 9th man to hit in this inning for the Diamondbacks. Way up there, it's 1-1. Gerardo Parra batting .333 since May 25th. He's hit safely in 21 of his last 24. That was going into tonight, and sure enough, he's got another hit with the leadoff homer. He might get another shot in this inning. Dusty Baker and Chris Spire watching from the Reds dugout, the inning getting away from them. Kind of buckled Gerardo there. It's 1-2. Twelve hits for the D-backs, 5 for the Reds. It gets by Hannigan, but Karem's right back to him. He's got no play. Kubel scores 7-3 Arizona. Took a pretty good bounce off that wall back there, but then just sat up on the grass like a pitching wedge into a green.
A changeup over near the feet of Gerardo Parra. Hannigan just could not get over there and block that ball. Try as he might. Gets through all the way to the backstop. Yeah, it just checked up on the grass, fortunately, allowing Kubel to motor home with the 7th run of the game for the D-backs.
Everybody moves up, so now Didi's on third. Hinske is in scoring position at second, and a 2-2 count to Gerardo Parra. Got him. But a big inning for the Diamondbacks. They score 4 and they break it open. It's 7-3. Due in no small part once again to Paul Goldschmidt, his 18th home run this season. And that one is out of here. It's 7-3 D-backs. Islanders, make sure you get tickets to the D-backs and Rockies game. First 15,000 fans get a Stars and Stripes t-shirt, courtesy of Ram Trucks. And then after the game, celebrate the holiday weekend with a big fireworks spectacular brought to you by Gila River Casino. So get your tickets now. You can call 602-462-4600 or log on to dbacks.com/tickets. 7-3 Diamondbacks. They have out-hit the Reds 12-5. A lot of offense here. And now we'll talk about the pitching. And it is the Diamondback debut of Zeke Sproul. This is Ezekiel Stevens Sproul. Just called up today from AAA Reno, making his Diamondback debut. They got him from the Braves in a big Upton Prado trade in the offseason.
You see his numbers for AAA Reno Aces in 9 starts, 3-3 record, ERA just a tick over 4. However, 17 scoreless innings over his last 2 starts, including a 7-hit shutout. So he's throwing the ball extremely well right now. Good time to bring him up here and run him out there against this Reds lineup.
He does not strike guys out. He is the model that they like for this ballpark, which is 2-seamer, sinker, ground ball, ground ball, ground ball. So his numbers have been outstanding, but then you look at the strikeouts and there's not a whole lot there. He'll often only strike out 1 or 2 batters per 8 or 9. But he's been very effective lately. And Zach Cozart, first batter he faces, just drops one into shallow right for a base hit.
Catcher, Ryan Hannigan.
Cozart, one of those guys, when I was talking about Paul Goldschmidt earlier and his quick abbreviated swing for a power hitter, it's more what you expect from a guy like Cozart. You know, just wait back, let the ball get deep into the hitting zone. That time just flipped a little single into right field. That's the same kind of approach Paul Goldschmidt has with power.
Ryan Hannigan 0 for 2. Zeke Sproul, 6'5", 190. He's a big kid, 23 years old. He'll turn 24 in September. Went to high school in Marietta, Georgia. Braves got him with a second-round pick in the 08 draft, and he's here via the Prado Upton deal. And a trade that continues to look better and better from the Arizona perspective, given that Justin Upton really hasn't done anything since the end of April. And we saw how good Randall Delgado was, Bob, on Tuesday night here. And Zeke Sproul has looked very good at AAA. That changeup from Delgado was dropping right off the table. He looked terrific the other night. And he will start Sunday. That was made official. Sproul began the year in AA Mobile, made 5 starts, and yes, he was 0-3, but the pitching lines were outstanding. 24 hits allowed in just over 31 innings. And then they moved him up to AAA Reno. Got knocked around there a little bit, but as Bob mentioned, his last 3 starts for the Aces have really been good. Oh, 2 to Hannigan. June 3rd, he went 8 innings, gave up only 6 hits. In his next game, June 9th, he threw a 7-hit shutout. His previous start was last Saturday, 8 more scoreless innings. He gave up only 4 hits in that game. On the ground to third, Martin Prado has no play at second. They'll retire Hannigan at first, and Cozart moves up 90 feet, 1 out. And that was the typical of what we expect to see, Bob, from Sproul, a guy not really making good contact and hitting a little weak ground ball.
Yeah, unfortunately not hit hard enough to turn a double play that time. Little dribbler down that third baseline, allowing Cozart to move into scoring position on the ground out to third.
Pitcher spot is up here. We saw Cueto already get lifted. This is Donald Lutz, 24-year-old left-hand hitter. Lutz moved through the Red system last year, played at 3 different minor league levels at a collective 269. He's got some power, 22 homers last year. He was hitting .211 with 5 home runs in 21 games for the AA Pensacola Blue Wahoos when he was called up. That happened at the end of April because, as we've mentioned, the Reds have all these outfield injuries. They've got Robinson out there playing all the time. Ludwig went down with a very serious shoulder injury. They lost Chris Heisey as well. And a chance here for Donald Lutz from Watertown, New York.
Lutz is a little bit of an oddity or a unique situation. Back on April 29th, when he pinch hit in that ball game against St. Louis, he was the first German-developed player to appear in a Major League Baseball game. He makes his off-season home in Friedberg, Germany.
Did you get near there when you were at Grafenwehr?
We may have. I don't know.
The tank only had one window.
That's right. I couldn't see out.
Couldn't read the signs. Good pitch there. Oh, Miggy wants to talk. Boy, I bet when you're a young guy, you're making your big league debut and you're up here and Miguel Montero comes out, I bet you're thinking to yourself, boy, this guy never shuts up.
What's he talking about?
Don't listen to anyone else, kid. Listen to me.
Willie Bloomquist had to come in and translate, and they were all speaking English.
Out here, we run on Miggy time. Got him. Now we got him, and there's the strikeout for Zeke Sproul. And they're going to save the baseball. Miggy tosses it into the dugout.
A good sharp slider down and into Lutz that time. He avoided the tag by Miguel Montero, just prolonged it a little bit longer.
Derek Robinson, the leadoff man, steps in with two away. And Zach Cozart at second. Robinson, a switch hitter, 24 points better from the right-hand side, which is why he was at the top of the order against the lefty Miley. But now with Sproul out there, he'll hit from his weaker side. Lifts it into left. Jason Kubel coming in, and there he is. Good first inning for Zeke Sproul. Diamondback Nation at 7-3. since that 20-hit 8-run game at the Dodgers last Wednesday. Big offense tonight, but in between these 6 games. Tonight they've scored 7 runs on 12 hits, and this has been out of character of sorts for the Diamondbacks offense lately. As you see there, only the previous 6, only not even quite 2.5 runs per game.
And the amazing thing was they won 2 of those ball games with those kind of numbers.
Willie Bloomquist having a great night. Had a 2-run single in the second. Singleton scored his last time up. New pitcher for the Reds is the righty. This is Curtis Parch. He was just called up from AAA Louisville earlier this month. Made his major league debut back on June 9th against the Cardinals. And he'll face Bloomquist, Goldschmidt, and Montero, 2, 3, and 4 in the Arizona 6th. Diamondbacks have out-hit the Reds 12-6. They lead it 7-3. Home runs by Parra to lead it off in the first, his 6th of the year, and his 5th leadoff homer. That's the most in the majors. And then in the 5th, Paul Goldschmidt, a 2-run shot, his 18th. As the Diamondbacks opened it up with 2 in the second and 4 in the 5th. They chased Johnny Cueto. That one is skied in the air in a very shallow right field. Jay Bruce coming in. Here he comes, America's first baseman. Time for our Ram Trucks Tools of the Trade. A little defense, a little offense. Single in the first, 2-run homer in the 5th. The home run is 18th. The RBIs now up to 64 to lead the league. And those are the Ram Trucks Tools of the Trade. Goldie 2 for 3. Diamondbacks jumped all over Johnny Cueto, a guy they had never beaten. The last time Cueto gave up 7 or more runs, you have to go all the way back to September of 2010. Hammered to center field. Paul Goldschmidt, get out of here! His second home run in 2 at-bats. Now 19 on the year. Paul Goldschmidt does it again. It's another Fulton home run. Another $150 goes to Central Arizona. Mountain Rescue, and that thing was bludgeoned.
Loud contact for Goldie. Boom, middle cut fastball that time, bangs it off that batter's eye above the camera position out there in center field. Just ridiculous power.
His 3rd multi-home run game in his career all this season. So make it 19 homers, make it 65 RBIs. America's first baseman, Paul Goldschmidt. That was spanked.
Oh, man.
Miguel Montero, Biggie single that scored his last time.
Ryan Hannigan's ears are probably still ringing back there behind home plate.
It tolls for thee.
Goldie with another star for the professor. His grade point average is going up by the at-bat.
And Bob, we've talked about this from time to time when we've had occasion, and the point is we really haven't had the occasion that much. But for a team like this that has struggled offensively, that has to grind out wins and win 3-2 or come back and hang on by a run or 2, and guys are struggling to get one of these games where you can just kind of put your feet up a little early and take a deep breath and enjoy it. It's got to be a welcome opportunity.
I don't think anybody's going to take anything for granted over in that third base dugout, though. They've been involved in enough games with this Reds team in the past to know what they're capable of offensively as well. Just keep your head down and keep grinding and try to get Goldie up to the plate as many times as you can.
That's a good plan. 8 runs on 13 hits. Here's the 2-2.
noise that the ball makes coming off his bat. When he squares one up, it's as crisp a sound as you will ever hear. It's solid, loud contact.
Discussion with A.J. Pollock. A.J. knows what kind of territory you got to cover out there to hit it where Paul just hit it. Goldie homered in the 3rd inning Monday against the Marlins. Had the walk-off off Chad Qualls. Tuesday went 0 for 3 in the Wednesday matinee game against Miami, and now he's 3 for 4 tonight, including 2 home runs.
How do you feel if you're Curtis Parch? You come into a ball game, you're facing the other team's best hitter, you throw your best fastball, and it just gets clubbed to straightaway center field. Ew, tough league.
Ball 4.
We had a shot of Goldie over there in that 3rd base dugout. Guys were talking about the home run. Watch Eric Hinsky. He's talking about the box. If you take the upper body and the head of Paul Goldschmidt and put it in a box, it rarely moves. It is just as still as it can be, driving that bat through the hitting zone.
You think of that almost. Remember that tetherball game that nobody ever played in the playground at school, where you got the pole and it's the rope and the ball and it spins, or everything spins around the pole? Is it like that?
A little bit like that, yeah. I mean, if your head is still, obviously you can see the pitch as good as you possibly can. If your head is moving, whether it's in or out, up or down, that pitch is going to be moving up or down or in or out. The stiller you can be in that batter's box, the better look you're going to get at the pitch. And Paul Goldschmidt is as still as any hitter in the National League.
I did like the way you upgraded him to A+ across the board. That was big of you. 1-0 to Cody Ross. Cody so far 0 for 3. Struck out his last 2 times up, both looking. Now Hanna going to go out to talk his rookie pitcher off the ledge, perhaps. Reds bullpen is quiet.
Hinsky's seen a lot of really good hitters over the course of his career. Spent a lot of time on that bench watching good hitters on his own team. He recognizes a great approach when he sees it.
Now that Cody's hopefully got the contact lens issue worked out, now it's a matter of the rest of it. And we'll see him hopefully pulling balls down that left field line like he did last year in Boston. That is a big league pop-up. Way up there behind us, and it's in the booth. What happened there, Hank?
Where's the kid? Give it to a kid. Where's the kid?
What do we got? Oh, that tall guy always gets it.
There you go.
Nice work.
Nice job, sir.
2-2. How did that get up here?
I didn't think it would bounce that high. It hit right in
that
the
came in on a bounce?
It came on a bounce.
That thing was hit 1.5 miles up in the air. It was really up there.
See, that girl has her priorities. She's glad she got the baseball, but she's not going to stop eating that pizza just yet.
That's right in your wheelhouse. 3-2 to Cody Ross.
I tell you, talk about Cody getting his eyesight back. I go back to that one game in LA when he was fouling pitch after pitch straight back to the backstop. You could tell that his timing was getting really close. Started to hit some balls hard, had a 4-hit game, but still not driving the ball the way he's fully capable. Well, there you go. Get focused.
It's all in the lenses. We'll do it one more time on 3-2. In the dirt for a walk. Back-to-back walks for the Diamondbacks. 2 on, 1 out. Well, the remarkable thing about this, Bob, is that this team has a 2-game lead in the division coming into play, and in large part they've been treading water. The offense, with the exception, of course, of Goldie and 1 or 2 other guys, has struggled. They have people that are injured. The rotation has really struggled. There are injuries there. So down the road, when all of this comes together, and guys like Chavez are back, and Hill are back, and Hinsky, Cody is hitting, and Martin Prado picks it up, and all the pieces that go together, perhaps for the first time all year, connect as they were intended to. And then later this year, this thing they could just really take off.
I mean, it's been a testament to the depth of this organization that they've been able to keep their head above water as long as they have with that laundry list of injuries. The bullpen has been highly effective at times, at other times maddeningly inconsistent, but they just keep finding ways to win ball games.
And it just gets you to thinking, wow, when Aaron Hill comes back and he's close, he's been playing at Reno, and when Eric Chavez comes back, he'll be playing at Reno next week and hopefully joins him on the road trip coming up. And Brandon McCarthy comes back, and Ian Kennedy's suspension is over, and all of that. All the pieces go together, as was the plan, really for the first time this year. And it really looks like a dangerous team. Jason Kubel, he's 3 for 3. He scored twice. 3 singles.
I didn't even mention the closer, J.J. Putz, who's real close to a comeback here at the major league level.
For Aaron Hill, who's been pain-free, the issue now is timing and sort of getting that back. Kurt Gibson has been adamant he doesn't want Aaron Hill back up here until he feels comfortable both with the hand and the timing at the plate. And JJ, who got the good news after the MRI when he walked off the field at Dodger Stadium, still working his way back. And Eric Chavez was taking batting practice today, tweeted out a picture of Xavi in the cage earlier. He was taking ground balls at third base, and he says he feels really good. The plan apparently is that Xavi will go play for Reno beginning on Monday, and he hopes to join the team on the next road trip. And Aaron could be any time now. So lots of reasons for optimism here. And in the meantime, we've seen Randall Delgado come up and look very good. We're getting our first look at Zeke Sproul, and we like what we see. So
Charles Brewer looked good in a short stint here at the major league level.
Charles' curveball looked terrific. Here's Randall, who will start Sunday's game. That was made official.
Tyler Skaggs had some dominating moments here at the major league level. And I'm sure the writers and people are going to start asking Kurt Gibson, what are you going to do when Aaron Hill comes back? What are you going to do when Eric Chavez comes back?
Legitimate questions, but, you know.
I'll let you know when we get there.
Exactly.
Those things tend to take care of themselves when you get to the point where you actually have to activate somebody.
Kubel drives it to right. That's a fair ball. Here comes Montero. And we're going to stop Cody Ross at third, and Jason Kubel is 4 for 4. And the Diamondbacks have scored 9 times.
A great night for Jason Kubel. A couple of soft singles, a hard hit single, and now pulls his hands in and jerks that ball down into the right field corner for an RBI double. Ties a career high with his 4 knocks in the game tonight.
3 singles, a double. He's scored 2 runs so far. Now 9 runs on 14 hits for Arizona. Ross at third, Kubel at second. Still only 1 out in the inning, and here's Martin Prado. RBI sac fly his last time up. 25 pitches in the inning. Popped up first base side. Hannigan gets it a look, but it's out of play. Good article on Martin Prado right now by Jack Magruder at FoxSportsArizona.com. You can read that online. And in there, Martin admits that, when he first got here, he was trying to be somebody else. There's a shot at Jack. He said he wanted to make the D-backs understand that, while he wasn't Justin Upton and wasn't going to be, he could help this team win games, but said things weren't going the way he wanted. So now he's just trying to be himself up there the way he was in Atlanta and not change anything. He says, people are panicking about my hitting. I'm not. I know what I can do. Drives that one to center. Shin-Soo Choo back it up. And he has it in front of the 407. Yeah, that's a catch. Ross tags. He will score. And it's 10-3 Diamondbacks. Great play there by Shin-Soo Choo deep in front of that 407 side.
We're going to get a look at a couple of replays of this catch. I'm not so sure he had that ball all the way. He showed it. Yeah, see, it slipped out of his glove, but he was able to make the play. I wondered why he showed the ball.
Perhaps to show that it didn't hit off the wall.
Yeah, normally you would just make the catch there and then get the ball back in as quickly as possible, but he bobbled that ball a little bit, hugged it up against his body, and then shows it to the umpire before turning and throwing back to the infield.
So 2 RBI sacrifice flies and 2 plate appearances from Martin Prado. There's a better look at it. Didi Gregorius 10-3 now. 4 runs in the 5th, 3 in here in the 6th. Didi has singled twice and scored a run. Have scored 11 times. This is fun.
Keep the line moving. Boy, that's good to see from Didi driving that ball the other way. They want that pitch inside. It tails out over the plate. Nice level swing that time by Didi. Gets some backspin on that liner, splitting the gap. Jason Kubel motors around to score the 11th run of the game for the D-backs.
Paul Goldschmidt 3 for 4 with a pair of home runs. Jason Kubel 4 for 4. He scored 3 times. And Didi Gregorius 3 for 4. 2 singles, a double, an RBI. He scored a run. A.J. Pollock will hit for the pitcher. 11 runs on 15 hits. They have out-hit the Reds 15-6, outscored them 11-3.
I think Curtis Parch needs a drink of water out there.
I see what you did there. He's a little parched. 0-1 to AJ. I tell you what, Bob, if AJ can find that gap in left center, he might have an inside the park home run as Tony Sipp loosens and apparently is ready. Shin-Soo Choo shaded way over toward right. Look at that gap in left center. AJ is a pinch hitter this year, 1 for 6 with a double. He is the 8th man to bat in this inning. How about that? Talk about an offensive explosion. I only say offensive because it's the Stanley Cup Finals.
.33 pitches in the inning for Parch, and nobody warming up in the Reds bullpen. This looks like one of those outings where Dusty and the rest of the coaching staff have decided we're just not going to burn any more pitchers tonight.
Go get them, kid.
Go get them.
He will definitely be parched after this.
Yep. Yeah, this is potentially one of those situations, and we've seen it happen a couple times already this year, where you just leave the guy out there to throw as many innings as he possibly can and then flip him out for a healthy arm tomorrow.
We mentioned they are without Broxton, they are without Marshall, they are without Massett down there. Massett's out for the year. Broxton and Marshall on the DL right now. And this is the start of a this is a tough start for the Reds, because this opens a big road trip for them. They're at Arizona, Oakland, and Texas. So you can't imagine that Dusty wants to blow out the bullpen right now, already undermanned as it is in an 11-3 game to start the road trip.
And just now some activity you can see behind Parch out there in that right field bullpen.
2-2 to A.J. Pollock. Look out, the bat is out there. Parch has it, and that's finally the end of the inning for the Reds. But the Diamondbacks get 4 in the 5th, and they get 4 in the 6th. You know what those 2 innings had in common? Paul Goldschmidt homers. It's 11-3. Hey fans, come out to Chase Field when the Diamondbacks take on the Brewers July 11th through the 14th. On Saturday, July 13th, first 20,000 fans get a D-backs beach towel courtesy of Gila River Casino. Then on Sunday the 14th, first 5,000 kids take home a D-backs back-to-school backpack courtesy of Cox Communications. For tickets, call 602-462-4600 or log on to dbacks.com/tickets and join us here at Chase Field to watch the Diamondbacks and the Brewers. A lot to enjoy about tonight's game. 11-3 did not hit the Reds. 15-6. Good start for this series. And they had no luck at all against Johnny Cueto when they sent Cueto packing. New pitcher for the Diamondbacks, the left-hander, Tony Sipp.
Nice job by Zeke Sproul in his major league debut. Clean inning, did give up a hit, struck out a batter, and gives way to the left-hander, Tony Sipp.
Tony hasn't worked since last Wednesday, so it's been a while here. When he has been in there, he's been the short man. His last appearance was last Wednesday's 12-inning win at Dodger Stadium. Shin-Soo Choo leads off the Reds' 7th. He has walked twice and scored. Tony faced one batter in that game at Dodger Stadium, got a ground ball out. Prior to that, he was a one-pitch winner. That was Monday in L.A. So he's worked very briefly and not in a while. More than a week.
And the only real concern you get into with a guy like Tony Sipp, if he hasn't thrown for a while, is that he'll be a little bit too strong, overthrow the ball, leave him up in the zone. See if he can drive that fastball and slider down there to the knees. Ooh, nice pitch.
Jim Reynolds is the plate umpire. He's the crew chief. 10 of Tony Sipp's last 11 appearances have been scoreless. He's worked 8 innings over that span. 7 hits, 6 strikeouts. Down and away here. 3-1. Chu's already walked twice, because that's kind of what he does. .426 on base percentage, second in the National League. He does not, however, hit lefties. There's a strike. Star Wars Day here Sunday. So may the force be with you. Join us at Chase. Dress up as Chewbacca, whatever you want. Struck him out looking. Bring him up, sit him down. Second strikeout tonight for Chew. He struck out twice and walked twice. All right, sir.
Thought maybe those were our robot umpires out there high-fiving the
That's
fans.
the next. I'm surprised you don't have a force of those guys to come down and just put the umpires in place. Here's Votto. Votto 2 for 3, single in the first, and an RBI double in the fifth. Now that would be cool if you had stormtrooper umpires.
Yeah.
They wore the outfits and everything. Little MLB, logo on the shoulder, maybe on the chest somewhere.
Go ahead and try to argue.
Joey Votto up to 327. Began the day 6th in the league in hitting at 324, so he's on his way up. Well, you mentioned it, Bob. Sipp maybe a little too rested. That fastball was up there.
And for Joey Votto, his first 3 at-bats he made out against Tony Sipp, including a strikeout, since then a single and 2 home runs.
Crushed high and deep and out of here. Joey Votto hammers his 13th homer. And he's 3 for 4. He's got a single, he's got a double, and now he's got a home run.
It's his 3rd homer in his last 3 at-bats against Tony Sipp. Very little doubt about that one. Well, the good news is the D-backs had some runs to play with here. You never want to give up a home run, but it was a solo job to one of the better hitters in the game. Now go back to work on Brandon Phillips.
Joey Votto, 9 hits in his last 5 games. That was going into tonight. Tonight he's 3 for 4. That dude BP. We mentioned at the top of the show, Bob, the battle of the first baseman, if you will, kind of like the old battle of the network stars back in the day.
Goldie with 3 driven in on 2 homers and a single. Votto with 2 driven in on a homer, a double, and a single. Votto struck out once, however. Goldie grounded out to short when he made his out. So
that's the difference.
That's the difference.
Everything counts on the Professor Brentley report card. Show your work. Sipp behind again here, 2-0. 3-0. Brandon Phillips hitting much better away from home this season, despite the fact he plays in a great hitter's park in Cincinnati. Batting .325 on the road, .227 at Great American Ballpark. Chases that one. It's full 3-2. Jay Bruce is on deck. He's got a home run tonight. Payoff pitch on the way. Got him. Montero hangs on. Second strikeout in the inning for Tony Sipp. 2 down in the 7th.
A good comeback that time. Was behind in the count 3-0 before coming back to strike out Brandon Phillips.
Next telecast on Fox Sports Arizona is Sunday Star Wars Day, and get another look at Randall Delgado. He'll face Matt Latos for the Reds. Star Wars themed day at the ballpark Sunday, so come on out and bring your lightsaber and your droids, whatever you got. Tomorrow's game is on Big Fox national broadcast. We're going national. Jay Bruce in the 4th inning. He hit his 16th home run this season. It was also the 150th home run of his career. And counting tonight, Bruce has homered 6 times in his last 8 games.
Climbing up that Reds all-time home run list. He's got a ways to go to catch up with Johnny Bench at 389, but number 150 tonight for Jay Bruce.
Paul Goldschmidt knocks it down. Tony Sipp does a good job getting over there to cover. It's all about the Ram Trucks tools. Paul Goldschmidt. And oh, by the way, he's hit a couple of home runs. 11-4 Diamondbacks. Goldie 3 for 4, including 2 home runs. He's driven in 3. Lots of offense to talk about for the Diamondbacks. They've out hit the Reds 15-7. They lead the Reds 11-4. Joining us in the booth is Joe Borowski. This is fun, isn't it? Even for former pitchers.
Yeah, this is exciting. This is where you can just kind of kick back. Guys padding their stats a little bit, and you're right. As a pitcher and you're the opposing team, you don't want to go out there today.
I was going to ask you about that, Joe. I mean, we saw Parch kind of get thrown to the wolves there. The Reds bullpen a little beat up, and Dusty decided, I'm not going to take you out of this inning. You got to figure out a way to get out yourself. What's going through your mind as a pitcher when you find yourself in that situation?
Sometimes you're looking for that lifeline, and you got to realize deep in your heart you're not going to get it because with Cueto not going very deep in that game, you're going to have to stay out there. You're going to have to suck it up and go as long as you can and as deep as you can. And sometimes you're throwing everything you can up there, and the Diamondbacks hitters are just locked in, and they're hitting everything you throw up there.
Gerardo Parra got it all started with a leadoff home run in the first off Johnny Cueto, his 6th homer of the season and his 5th leadoff homer. And as we're showing you, a bevy of defensive changes from Dusty Baker here to open the bottom of the 7th. Simon is the new pitcher. Hanahan at first. Diz Turris takes over at second. Robinson now playing center field, and Xavier Paul is in left. Parra chases that one, strikes out, 1 away.
I think a key in that 6th inning, I mean, besides the Goldie home run and the Kubel double, the Gregorius double, they drew a couple walks in that inning. It seems like that happens all the time when the D-backs start to get something going offensively. They have those patient at bats. They'll take a walk. They'll set it up for the next guy in the lineup, and today was no exception in the 6th.
And Bob, what's impressed me about their offense was their approach to this game coming in and facing Cueto was their patience at the plate. I thought they did a fantastic job of laying off some close breaking balls and forcing Cueto to come over the plate with them. And when he did, they really made him pay for it.
In many ways, too, I think, Joe, that Willie's 2-out, 2-run single back in the 2nd was big, because if he doesn't get that, they strand 2. It's still 1-0. The game takes on a whole different tone and tenor.
Absolutely, and he did a good job because he got that breaking ball just off the plate, but he got enough of it to lift it out into short right center. And you're right, that led to the huge offensive output for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, that 2-run single by Willie, everybody just kind of took a deep breath, got a little bit of a lead to play with. Now everybody can just relax and go up there and let it go.
In the center, right at Robinson, 2 down.
And a lot of people always remember the big hits. They don't remember those little ones that help lead up to it.
Going, gone, perhaps. And here he comes. Paul Goldschmidt, a single in the 1st. He grounded out in the 2nd. A 2-run home run in the 5th and a solo shot in the 6th. Now up to 19 homers and a National League leading 65 RBIs. They want a home run in Kingman.
If Simon hangs him another breaking ball like that, he might hit one to Kingman.
Creeping up on Cargo's league lead. He already leads the league in RBIs, and it had been a slow June so far for Goldie. 222 in 18 games coming in. Joe, have you watched the way he's adjusted to the way they've pitched him with everything down and away? I know they got a couple of mistakes tonight.
Well, that's the great thing about Goldie is because he doesn't overstride anything. He's so quiet in the box. He lets balls that are away from him travel deep, so he gets a good look at it. But he's so quick inside that he can hit any mistake you make in there. He's an extremely tough out. For somebody who has power like he does, he's also a very good contact hitter.
Makes contact there and drives it to Jay Bruce, who's in right field, and catches it in front of the track, and it's a 1-2-3-7. Joe, thanks. We'll see you in the postgame show.
Lot to talk about.
11-4 Diamondbacks through 7.
To look at our Chevron Next game matchup tomorrow afternoon. Mike Leake, an ASU product, pitching for the Reds tomorrow. And Patrick Corbin on the mound for the Diamondbacks. Been stuck on 9-0 since June 2nd. In fact, we're in a stretch right now of 14 straight starts by Diamondbacks pitchers where a starting pitcher has not gotten the victory. But a note, guys, on Patrick Corbin. Earlier today in the D-backs clubhouse, stacks of boxes from Hoffman Sausage Company were in there. They are from Rusty Fluke, which is Patrick Corbin's uncle, the founder of Hoffman Sausage Company out of Syracuse, New York. So not only does Patrick have 9 wins for the Diamondbacks this season, he's also feeding the team, and I was told that they had that as a part of the pregame spread. I'm not sure if it's going to be part of the postgame spread as well, guys.
Well, I can tell you what, it's going to be part of the pregame spread from now on.
It better be.
Are you kidding me?
Not that guys are superstitious or anything, but we need more of that sausage.
They better be here daily. Joe Patterson, the lefty. Joe made his season debut for the Diamondbacks at the worst possible time. It was that Tuesday Bean Brawl game at Dodger Stadium and hasn't pitched since. Kind of been sitting around out there. He came on to get the final out after David Hernandez had walked the bases loaded, then gave up that 3-run double. And as soon as we mentioned Bean Brawl, somebody gets hit. Todd Frazier takes first to lead off the 8th.
That slider just chased him into that batter's box, started on the inside part of the plate, went farther inside, clipped him just below the left knee.
So a man aboard for Zach Cozart. Cozart 2 for 3 with a pair of singles. Oh, 0-1. So you're talking about longer than a week and a half between appearances here for Joe Pa. Can't blame him if he bounces a slider or two or hits somebody. Bob, I'm looking at this, and I didn't notice this the last time. Like I said, Joe's only pitched 1 game, but it looks like he's got the Johnny U black high tops going with the high stirrups. That's Johnny Unitas right there, or at least as close as you're going to get in the big leagues.
Yep. Not quite full blown. Oh, he got another one.
Miggy got hit by that as well. So 2 batters, 2 hit batters for Joe Patterson. We said he was a little rusty. He has not pitched since last Tuesday
when he hit a batter.
Let's see. Yeah, and it caromed off Cozart and hit Miggy in the leg, I think.
That's what usually happens. A batter gets hit on a deflection, and then the catcher and the umpire get hit with square shots back there.
So 2 on, nobody out. And Ryan Hannigan will hit. He's 0 for 3. Ryan Hannigan attended Rollins College in Florida, where he was a philosophy major. Big fan of the existentialists. Nietzsche, Schopenhauer, Sartre.
Probably comes in handy talking to pitchers.
But it does. Well, you're in a big jam here. I think it was Friedrich Nietzsche who once said.
Yeah.
0-1. Hard to short. Tough off for Didi to get the force at second, and they roll the double play. Well, that'll help. Frazier moves to third. Hey fans, if you're between the ages of 10 and 14 and you'd like to join Bob and me in the booth here, well then come on out Sunday. Not only is it Star Wars Day at Chase Field, but it's a Fox Sports Arizona and Sanderson Ford Kidcaster audition Sunday. So go to the Sandlot between that kid's in, I'm telling you right now. Go there between 11:30 and 1:30. He's fired up, and we'll audition. But apparently we have a front runner. How much cotton candy has that young man had?
He skipped the cotton candy, went straight to the coffee.
Could be problematic up here. It's a small booth. I think Mitch Riggin uses the same form to direct the show. Xavier Paul. Paul came in the last half inning to play left field.
Big sweeping breaking ball from Patterson. That one actually starts behind the left-handed hitter. Sweeps all the way across the plate to get that called strike.
Reds so far tonight 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. They've been out hit 15-7. Xavier Paul from Slidell, Louisiana, same hometown as Will Harris. Second base, backhanded stop there by Willie Lindquist, plants and throws, and that's the inning. 2 hit batters to lead off the inning to get the double play and another ground out to get out of it. Bottom 8, CenturyLink, Duralink to what's next. Jason Kubel, what a night he's had, 4 for 4.
Pachinko by signing up at one of the 16 interactive kiosks right here at Chase Field during any Arizona Diamondbacks regular season home game.
Walk away with at least a signed game piece and a chance to win some exciting prizes. Paul Goldschmidt having a big night, a single and 2 home runs. New pitcher for the Reds, the veteran left-hander. This is Manny Parra.
18th appearance of the season, former Milwaukee Brewer. I think that's where you were going with that.
Where we've seen him.
Very promising young starter in the major leagues, but finds himself pitching in relief for the Reds out of the bullpen and has had a rough go of it.
Miguel Montero leads off the 8th. Miggy singled and scored in the 5th, walked and scored in the 6th. He's 1 for 3. $11 runs on 15 hits for the Diamondbacks, 4 runs on 7 hits for the Reds. Parra quickly ahead, 0-2. Fox National game tomorrow afternoon. Back with you here on Fox Sports Arizona Sunday for Star Wars Day, Kidcaster Sunday. Montero hits a high chopper that Parra will field and tosses underhand to hand, one away. Hey fans, MLB.TV celebrates 11 years with new low prices. You can watch every out-of-market game live on over 350 supported mobile devices or in HD quality with MLB.TV Premium. Visit MLB.TV today. It's baseball everywhere. Cody Ross walked and scored his last time up. He's 0 for 3. 2 more games against the Reds, and then Bob, we're right back out there on the road, and this is a big one.
Long road trip. 3 in the nation's capital, 3 in Atlanta, and then close it up with 4 in New York.
Yeah, the final game is the 4th of July at Citi Field.
I think when the season started and you looked at this road trip, you would assume that the Nationals would be the team leading the division by 6 games, but indeed it's the Atlanta Braves holding a 6-game lead over the Nationals.
10 games in 11 days for the Diamondbacks, all on the road. Some cross-country flying in there. Cody Ross strikes out for the 3rd time looking tonight. 2 down. And then after that road trip is over, we just did, what, 14 out of 17 on the road. Now we go on the road for a whole bunch more. After that, it kind of settles down, and we get to enjoy some home cooking for more than 3 days at a time.
Yeah, that month of July is very friendly to the D-backs. After coming back from New York, a long homestand with the Rockies, the Dodgers, the Brewers coming to town, then the All-Star break, a quick 3-game trip to San Francisco, and then the Cubs and the Padres come to town.
Jason Kubel looks at a ball 1-0, so a chance now to grab the D-back schedule, you know, get out, figure out a day or two. You can come join us down here and watch your first place Diamondbacks. Lots of home games coming up after the next week or so. So we hope to see you out here with us. Lots of giveaway days to look for. There's good ball clubs coming in here.
Now, I'm not sure exactly where the cutoff point is for bandwagon jumping, but get on board now. That way there's no doubt about it.
Jason Kubel trying to go 5 for 5. He's down 1 and 2 here. Kubel 3 singles. And then an RBI double in the 6th. He scored 3 times tonight. And you get his bat going from the left-hand side. The Diamondbacks could use that from that side in this lineup. It's just part of the collective. Lays off that one, 2 and 2. Struck him out looking. A 1-2-3-8 for Manny Parra, including a pair of strikeouts. 9th inning on the way. Diamondbacks lead at 11-4. AT&T Twitter poll question. Best first baseman in baseball? Duh. I mean, why isn't it 100? That's the question. Go Goldschmidt.
We know who they voted for.
Well, one guy voted for Parra. He doesn't play first base, but that's okay. He's having a great. He should be an all-star as well.
Yeah.
For me, 3 no-brainer all-stars on this team that absolutely have to be there: Corbin, Goldie, and Parra.
I would agree with that 100%.
Joe Patterson back out there in the 9th. Look out, Derek Robinson up the middle, and there's a base hit. The 8th hit tonight for the Reds.
Yeah, that gets back to the conversation we had earlier when we talked about the All-Star game and should each team have a representative. Well, there's a possibility that one or more of the 3 guys that you mentioned might not get to go to the All-Star game because teams have to be represented. If that happens to be an outfielder from a ball club that sends their only representative to New York, yeah, maybe Gerardo Parra gets bumped, which would just be criminal.
Jack Hanahan took over at first base for Joey Votto. Yeah, I think baseball needs to decide, is it going to be a competition or an exhibition? And if it's a competition, which clearly it is now because it counts, then you may have to waive that every team has to be represented rule and just talk about fielding the best possible teams. If you want it to be an exhibition, then you have to do away with that rule and then stick to the thing where everybody has to be represented and it's a fun time, and that's good too. But it's hard to sort of serve 2 masters there.
Yeah.
Because a guy who is trying to put together the best team possible, as Bruce Bochy will do this year, and the selection process is more complicated than ever now. You know, it comes down to a decision. Well, I'd like to pick so-and-so from the Diamondbacks because he's been really good and he can help us win. But on the other hand, I have to make sure that there's an Astro on the team. Right. There's Kuba, one down. Or whoever. And so it's an odd dynamic. I personally like the idea that it counts. I think I'm in the minority, I know, but I think it's a good idea. They used to basically flip a coin or alternate or whatever they did, so I don't know how this is worse than that.
I just come back to the fact, if you are going to make it count, if you are going to reward the winning league with home field advantage in the postseason, let the manager pick his own squad. Let him take whoever he thinks gives him the best chance to win that game.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to remember who the manager was in '02 when we kind of got going down this road, and let me just give me a minute.
It was Joe Torre.
It'll come to me. No, that's the year that only Yankees played for the All-American League team. Boy, who was that guy? The guy that ran out of pitchers.
Well, he didn't technically run out of pitchers. The pitcher that he saved to go multiple innings came up lame. Unavoidable.
Oh, that's right. It was Bob Brenly. Right place, right time, I guess, BP. Cesar Astura strikes out, 2 down. Well, at least you know that you helped affect change.
Bad change, but change nonetheless.
Devin Mesoraco will hit now, and he's the last man standing for the Reds. Mesoraco from Puxatawney, Pennsylvania, home of the Groundhog.
Wonder if he knows Phil personally.
Just turned 25 years old 2 days ago, Devin Mesoraco. Supposed to be the catcher of the future, as was Yasmani Grandal here. They sent Grandal to San Diego with a Latos deal, and they've committed to Mesoraco, but Hannigan is so good defensively, it's hard to get him out of there.
Well, for a team that has so much offense up and down the lineup, you can afford to carry a catcher that his primary role is behind the plate and what he does defensively, what he does cutting down opposing base runners. And Dusty Baker has plenty of offense without worrying about getting numbers from his catching position.
So Robinson move up to second base on defensive indifference. That's line to center, and it drops in front. They will score, and it's now 11-5. Pinch hit RBI single for Devin Mesoraco. Now 9 hits for the Reds. Brings up Jay Bruce. Bruce homered back in the 4th, his 16th of the season and the 150th home run of his career. Now Mesoraco takes off and he's at second base. Jay Bruce red hot. 6 home runs in his last 8 games, counting tonight. Say cheese. He's watching MLB.TV, of course. Watching another game. Now this one's in the bag. Check out what the Giants are doing, what the Rockies are doing, Padres. NL West race, going to be fun to watch. And the Diamondbacks out in front. In fact, let's check. What do we got? Giants losing to the Marlins. That's good. Padres beat the Dodgers.
Rockies lost to the Nationals.
Oh, there it is up there.
Nice.
High in the air over shallow right field. This will do it. Willie Bloomquist wants it. And the Diamondbacks beat the Reds 11-5 to take the first game of this series. Led in no small part by Jason Kubel, goes 4 for 5. And let's not forget Paul Goldschmidt. 3 for 5, including a pair of home runs, numbers 18 and 19 on the year. And he extends his National League RBI lead to 65. And Paul Goldschmidt, with his 3rd career multi-home run game, is indeed our APS Energy All-Star. Bob, let's do this again every day.
Absolutely. I mean, you said it during the course of the telecast. We haven't had very many games where you could just sit back and take a deep breath and enjoy it. But that was the case tonight for the Diamondbacks offensively. That was the case for Kirk Gibson. Could get some guys work out of that bullpen that haven't been pitching much lately. This was a rare occurrence for the D-backs this season.
Tell you what, over the previous 6 games, the Diamondbacks as a team had hit 180 and scored 14 runs. Tonight, they scored 11 runs and had 15 hits. So a lot to talk about in the old post-game show, guys.
Indeed, Steve, and thanks for that perfect setup to Joe Borowski. I'm Todd Walsh, getting set for Diamondbacks Live, presented by CenturyLink after the game here. And Joe, 11 runs on 15 hits. I'm Johnny Cueto. I know he's coming off the shoulder. 88 pitches in his last game, a career high 11 hits allowed. Not quite, though, what I expected tonight from the Diamondbacks. How did they do it?
Especially with the numbers he's had against the Diamondbacks. But the Diamondbacks hitters, I thought their game plan tonight was absolutely fantastic. They did a great job of laying off tough pitches and making them throw strikes. We're going to break down the at-bats and see exactly how they did it.
He said it. We're doing it. We're taking a break here from Chase Field, and this Friday night game 1 of 3 is in the books. The Diamondbacks take it after the off day and that day game on Wednesday. I still think that's part of the untold story of this one. Nice respite for this team. We'll come back and talk about it right after this.